Secretary of the Army.
Sorry about that delay, guys. I had technical problems. What would this stream be without technical problems? Good job picking the outfit. I guess Trump's talking, so we'll just jump right into that. Welcome back, everybody.
And I also want to salute 6 former Medal of Honor recipients: William Swenson, Jim McClellan, Walter Marm, Thomas Paine, Sammy Davis. That's an interesting guy. Where is Sammy Davis? We have a big story here, Sammy. You've heard that all your life, I'll bet, huh? And Edward Byers. Stand up, please. You all look good. We all look good. We remember the ceremonies. All great. It's a great honor. There's no greater. I tried for myself. I've tried
a Medal of Honor ceremony. Is he going to announce something else? Does anybody know?
Down. They say you can't do it, sir. The worst. But I'm only kidding. You don't have to say I'm only kidding. Otherwise, the press will come out with, which they actually did once. Donald Trump wants a Congressional Medal of Honor, but he's been shut down. But now you are brave, amazing people, and I want to thank you all.
You talked about Iran already?
Roddy Edmonds.
I mean, this is live. I can't rewind.
In the U.S. Army, and soon
he already did the war
one
stuff.
Of the youngest
I can go back and see if I can find one that I can
Vim
rewind.
and Vigor.
Out loud. There's a rule of thumb.
All right, we'll watch that.
Should be.
Sounds like some of you guys already saw it.
Yet again, just after midnight, when Hezbollah, to avenge the killing of Khamenei, of course Hezbollah is backed by Iran, launched a number of rockets and drones. His defense secretary at the Pentagon saying this will not be
We're no longer at
although no specifics on a timeline for this conflict. President Trump already today suggesting in an interview that what he called the big wave of attacks hasn't even started yet, even after the attacks we saw over the weekend. And with 4 American service members killed already, the president has braced the nation for the possibility of more U.S. casualties to come. Let's get to Monica Alba, who is live for us at the White House. Monica, we'll listen in when the president begins to speak. But so far, since
Amy
these
said no
strikes
worries. No one in Trump's administration is an expert either.
Has not ruled out the possibility of American
did you
boots
know
on the
while we
ground
watched
in Iran?
us go to war with Iran, Oracle took over Medicare? I don't know anything about that.
For that
Melanie, send me a message
and these
about
will
that.
be the president's first public remarks since he did order Operation Epic Fury Friday night into Saturday morning. He has released those pre-recorded videos laying out some of the initial objectives of this massive ongoing military operation, but he hasn't given a lengthy or public address to the American people to explain what the end game might be here, how this does conclude, how long this could take. He's indicating it could be anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks, or that could extend. The president also hasn't discussed necessarily what the regime change plan could be here for Iran, acknowledging that dozens of leaders, he says, in Iran have been taken out, have been killed by joint U.S. and Israeli strikes. But when asked what the leadership future may look like for Iran, the president says it is unclear, and it is unclear, Hallie, what role the U.S. will play in that. You did mention
some of you have already
today
seen this,
that
and it's bad.
briefing
Great.
from the Defense Secretary and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane. They are both in the room here for this Medal of Honor ceremony, and they are both signaling
is that
to
true? Is his
the U.S.
polling
and to the
numbers
American
going
people
up from AP?
that this is an operation that is unapologetic, overwhelming, and could continue with force for many more days to come.
And Monica will listen in to the president speaking now. President Trump in the East Room.
And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit.
Yeah, I saw the warning on there, Dolphin. I got a warning. It tells me share responsibly on live.
So
Confirm
before
sources
we
before
begin
sharing
this
and engaging
important
with
ceremony,
content.
and there's
Thanks,
no
TikTok.
ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago,
They just keep saying that it was
we
obliterated.
warned Iran
Okay.
not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional
bronzer for the
ballistic
big
missile
show.
program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining.
Just trust
We
us.
were the ones
Trust
that
us, bro.
wanted it stopped. But
Yeah, Twitch is
everybody
back
was
up.
behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so.
Yeah, I've seen no. I mean, I've been going through this last night and this morning. I have seen no credible evidence that Iran was anywhere near developing weapons that could reach the United States or that they were building a nuclear weapon. Nobody has provided us any evidence that that was happening.
An Iranian regime armed with long-range
Melanie said the
missiles and
Dre
nuclear
dossier on
weapons
YouTube
would
did
be
a
an
recent video about
intolerable
it. Thank
threat
you.
to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not.
Yeah, it was not a horrible deal by Obama. That was keeping uranium enrichment at 3.6% or less. It was a great deal. It's like stepping in shit and then being like that. Everybody who didn't step in that shit was wrong. Me stepping in the shit, that was the good move.
Not let that happen for almost
I don't.
47
Yeah. What do you mean,
years.
Mike? You don't see evidence? Who the hell are you? Your intelligence? No. So you don't have evidence either, then, right? Like they haven't told us. In fact, there's multiple. We'll get to it later, but nobody is saying that they have evidence that they had weapons that were close to reaching us or that they were building a nuclear weapon. Nobody has even made that claim except for him. He's the only one making that claim, and Fox News.
Regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certain.
This chat is crazy. Guys, just look shit up. Obama didn't give them money. There was funds that were unfrozen. That was their money. Just get stories right. Once in a while, just get the story right so we can take you seriously.
Caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were
MBB, thank
put
you.
there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike.
Pick
what
up the
we're doing
pace,
right now,
Peepaw.
and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're
He looks and sounds worse than usual. Yeah, he looks rough.
annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third,
Operation Epstein Fury is what the military on Reddit are calling it.
we're ensuring that the world's number
Pretty
one
good, actually.
sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal,
How?
but then they backed
How
up.
are you going to do that? This is just so low IQ, like anti-history. Every time we do something like this, we create new terrorist groups. Every time. The people who lose loved ones here, especially those who lose, we bombed a school, which we'll get to later. Like every time we do a regime change war, we create new terrorist networks, and they get more and more extreme. I've seen this exact speech, except for with people who were literate, since 2001. We hear this speech nonstop. It never pans out. And every time they make this speech, at the time, the overwhelming majority of Americans are supportive. Now, this polling is lower than before, but it's still the majority of Americans. Every fucking time. We have no ability in America to go back and view history and say, maybe this is a mistake.
Out, and they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families.
What do you say to the families? What did they die for? What do those 4 service members die for? Where's Mag? I'd like to know the answer to that question while you guys are in here celebrating this. What did they die for? Can't believe it's only 4. I only know 4. What do you tell their families? Died for what? They died for Israel? Yeah.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people.
Is it 5 now? It might be 5 now.
And a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks.
But he's a mess right now.
We have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored.
You seem pretty
boring
bored
about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said.
Is he bragging that he's not bored with a 3-day war so far? Or was it Friday? Yeah. Is this bragging?
From the media. I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored.
Also, I haven't heard anybody say that. I'm sure that it's been said, but it's not like that's a normal line that people are saying that he's going to get bored.
I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that. To go through what I had to go through.
What did you have to go through?
We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole.
God, be
But
fucking
in
kidding.
about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get.
Jesus. All right, I guess that's the end of that. From Jesus, from war to curtains. Yeah, I don't. What do we even do with that? The loony bin is too good for him at this point. He's lost it. Why are we still pretending this guy has it together? All right, let's get back to where we started. We'll get back to Iran here in a little bit, but I do want to cover some of these other stories that are really important as well. Again, this is federal judge John Coffenauer, who has ruled against the Trump administration multiple times, and he had his rulings upheld by other courts. And because he rules against Donald Trump, and the people who love Donald Trump are just like, we love him no matter what. Everybody who disagrees with him is wrong. They've been threatening his life.
My wife and I are at home, and the doorbell rings, and I go to the door, and there's, I think, 5 sheriff's deputies there with long rifles.
And they show up with guns drawn.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Long guns. Very intimidating guns. And they said to me, "Sir, could we see your wife?" And I said, "Whatever for?" And they said, "Well, sir, we've had a report that you've murdered your wife."
It was a cruel hoax. The next day, a bomb threat. For John Kuhnauer, a federal district court judge in Washington state, it didn't end there.
There was a congressman that had a wanted poster. It said wanted in big letters at the top, and then a picture of several of us. It said everything
That's so cool. The members of Congress are doing that. Isn't that so cool?
except dead or alive.
His trouble started when President Trump signed an executive order to end the 14th Amendment's guarantee of citizenship for infants born on U.S. soil to non-citizens. Judge Kuhnauer ruled it, quote, blatantly unconstitutional. The threats poured in.
Some of it was very, very ugly and very threatening.
Death.
Mute Bud. Bud's not. Bud, shut the fuck up. You use that same joke every day. You're muted for 5 minutes. You have to update your material.
Threats?
Oh, yes. Dozens of them. Dozens, if not hundreds.
Judge Kuhnauer told us threats come with the turf. He has sentenced an al-Qaeda bomber and Montana militia members and needed round-the-clock protection. But he said he'd never had as many death threats as with the birthright citizenship case.
I've been at this for 44 years.
All right, now mute Bud for the rest of the live. He's doubling down with the recycled material.
I have never encountered the hostility toward the judiciary that has existed in this country in the last year. And I don't think it's because we're making bad decisions. I think it's because there are people who think that they can make a lot of political hay out of criticizing the federal judiciary.
Yeah, fuck this. Fuck the Constitution. That's where we're at now. We're at fuck the Constitution, fuck separation of powers. Everything Donald Trump does is wonderful. This is Judge Esther Salas, whose 20-year-old son, Daniel Anderl, was murdered at his own house on July 19th, 2020. A gunman disguised as a delivery driver opened fired and killed her son Daniel and wounded her husband Mark. And now this is her regarding the lengths to which people, the lengths to which people are willing to project violence on these judges, which again, is this the right one? What did I just do? Hold on. Oops. I have the wrong one. Hold on, I might have had the wrong link. Son of a bitch. Sorry about that. If I can find this. I may not have saved it. That's bad. This is the type of start we're used to with me. You can't give me multiple days off. I lose all my rhythm. Let me go here. All right. There she is.
As a judge who has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and defend the rule of law, I have a duty to call this out. That's why I'm talking to you.
Judge Esther Salas is a federal district court judge in New Jersey. A Barack Obama appointee, she has become a leading voice against the personal attacks on judges, which has made her the target of death threats. She knows the stakes. In 2020, a failed litigant
Alicia said, too many MAGA in here with TDSS. That is Trump dick-sucking syndrome.
came to her front door, shot her son Daniel dead, and wounded her husband Mark. It was not driven by politics, but she fears today's inflammatory rhetoric makes such horrors more likely.
I'm more concerned right now than I was after my only child was murdered.
Why?
Because I think that the attacks against the judiciary are only getting worse. What I'm seeing now is far different than what I've seen in the past. This is coming from our national leader on down.
Judge Salas told us vilifying judges is eroding trust in the courts.
If you disagree with a ruling that we make, appeal us. If you disagree with a sentence we render, appeal us. The answer is not to dehumanize us. And that has been, I think, the active agenda as of late. I feel like sometimes our political leaders are playing Russian roulette with our lives.
Do you think the
That's
rhetoric
exactly what it feels like. And they are. And the only response MAGA has really at this point to any of this stuff is just to be like, hey, people did shitty stuff before. I think it was Tim Burch that put up a tweet or this weekend, and it was something like, oh, you guys didn't have a problem with Obama. That's all they're left with. They're literally left with, here's a criticism of something that they can't defend. And since they can't defend it, they're just going to say, oh, you didn't care when, as if you can, one, prove that, and two, if there's not the benefit of hindsight. Like, most Americans agreed that we should go into Iraq. We were dead wrong about that. Most Americans agreed we should go to Afghanistan. We were dead wrong about that. Most Americans thought we should go to Vietnam. We were dead wrong about that. Like, the benefit of hindsight and learning from history is an important thing, but all MAGA has left is, well, other people did shitty stuff before too, so we're going to keep supporting shitty stuff. What are we doing here with our judges? It's not, these aren't rogue actors going after our judges. They're targeted members of Congress putting up wanted posters with judges. They're holding hearings about impeaching judges who rule in a way that they don't like, as if there's no appeal process, as if there's no way to get it to the Supreme Court, as if now just like judges are rogue and there's nothing you can do, so you just have to get rid of them. It's alarming how quickly the MAGA wing of this country has completely abandoned democracy, especially after spending, the year and a half Trump campaign going, we're not fascist. We're not going to end democracy. That's silly. And now that's where we're at. We're just doing undeclared wars. The president's out there bombing Iran. No check from Congress. Didn't tell Congress, didn't share intel with Congress. We just have a president who is rogue. And now he goes and kidnaps other leaders. He's hijacking oil boats. He's bombing Iran. We have no say in that. And you guys still show up every day just to dick ride. Even if you like what Trump is doing, even if you agree with the decisions he's making, they're extra constitutional. They're outside the bounds of what presidents historically have done, and we can't get any acknowledgement there. It's a terrifying prospect to know that this president can kind of get away with whatever he wants. So what if he decides not to leave? I don't think any of you will stand up against that. I think you'll celebrate it. You'll be here the same way you are every day, crying libs, same shit.
rhetoric?
Congress, Obama did the same thing and never went to Congress? No, you're wrong. See, but you're doing it. Yeah. How did you do exactly what I just told you? Other people did shitty things. First of all, he didn't. You had an ongoing war. He didn't need to go to Congress to authorize those strikes. We had an ongoing war. That's over now. This is a new conflict. But again, if your only defense of this administration is other people did shitty stuff before, well, then what does that say about what you're supporting?
Emboldens people?
I do. I think it's dangerous.
In a statement, the White House said, as a survivor of 2 assassination attempts, no one understands the dangers of political violence more than President Trump.
Okay, so then why doesn't he try and stop it? What if he understands that, and MAGA told us it was because everybody called him a fascist, why doesn't he stop name calling every judge who rules against him? If he understands that better than anybody, and maybe he does, he doesn't seem to want to stop that.
It went on to accuse the judiciary of brazen defiance.
Right there. He understands, but if they weren't so brazenly defiant, that's why we called you fascist.
With its unlawful rulings.
I mean, that's the reality here on the ground in America, is if you work in the government and you don't like Donald Trump, or you just happen to disagree with something he's trying to do and you rule against it as a judge, now your life is in danger. That's pretty cool. Glad to see some of the people at Google and OpenAI standing up. We left the show on Friday talking about Anthropic, and Anthropic basically told the U.S. government, hey, we'll give you our technology, we can work together, but there's 2 bugaboos. There's two lines we don't want to cross. Number one, we don't want you using our software to surveil U.S. citizens and violate their rights. That would be fine by me. You would think that would be fine by MAGA, but they now want to be surveilled. And 2, we don't want you to be able to use our technology for autonomous weapons who don't have the safety of a human stopping them from doing extra constitutional things. We don't want our AI being used for drones to make their own decisions, because then at that point, if you now start having drones who make their own decisions, who do you hold accountable? If a drone goes rogue and it takes out somebody it shouldn't take out, who do you then hold accountable at that point? Because it sounds to me like, looking at this, just guessing how this administration would handle it, it would be like, oh, that's not actually our fault. We rent that technology from Anthropic. You should talk to Anthropic about that. And then Anthropic will say, no, we're not the ones using it. You should talk to the federal government. And then what? That's how you get Skynet. Exactly, Greggies. Yeah, a lot of you saying Skynet. And so this is an open letter. You can go read the rest of it, but this is from OpenAI and Google employees, also in the AI departments. The Department of War is threatening to, 1, invoke the Defense Production Act to force Anthropic to serve their model to the military and tailor its model to the military needs. This is, again, Trump is doing this now repeatedly. If companies stand up to the government, they just say, well, we have to have it for national security. Defense Production Act, now we get to take your technology and we can force you to use it how we want you to. And then also label the company a supply chain risk. All in retaliation for Anthropic sticking to their red lines to not allow their models to be used for domestic mass surveillance and autonomously killing people without human oversight. How's that not a deal breaker? How is that an ask by Anthropic? Pete Hegseth says no, and you guys are like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine if we do this. Let's give our government domestic mass surveillance and autonomous killing with no human oversight. You guys is cool with that? You're just trying to live in a police state? Is that who's MAGA that's here? DFF, I think you're MAGA. Explain that to me. Why are you not up in arms about that? Democrats believe anything. Pat, shut up. This is true. This has all been confirmed by the Secretary of War. None of this is up for debate. This is all true. Anybody? MAGA's not going to talk about this? DFF, you got to answer my question. Can you tell me why you are in favor of the U.S. military doing domestic mass surveillance and autonomous killings without human oversight? Because we'll just mute you. Because I see what you're trying to do with the human rights thing. You're being really fucking trolly today. I need you to answer this or you get muted, bud. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Get all the insults out. You're running out of time. 2, 1. All right, mute that bitch. Yeah, that's what I thought. You're just gonna just as many insults as you possibly can before you get out of here. Yeah, because you're a troll. That's how we expose trolls here, by the way. Make them answer a direct question. They're just here to piss you off. So you can engage with them if you want, but that's literally all they're here for. All right. Here is Mark Ditlevson. We've shown him before, but he's the Assistant Secretary of for Homeland Defense and America's Security, and he's the nominee for the America's Security Affairs. Here he is with Elise Slotkin, who I believe wasn't Elise Slotkin, former CIA. This should be a question that we should know the answer to, and this is a question that our government should be required to tell us the answer to, but they're not.
Senator Slotkin and then Senator King.
Thank you, Chairman.
She is? Okay, I thought she was.
Mr. Ditlevson, I want to talk about some reports we had this week coming out of the Pentagon about the use of artificial intelligence. And you know, we all know, or many of us know, we're in a classified race against the Chinese on artificial intelligence. Reports came out this week.
Why? I'm not sure. I don't know why it's so important, but maybe one day we'll find out.
Week that Secretary Hegseth was negotiating a contract with an AI company, and this AI company says, look, we just have 2 conditions. We're not going to allow our AI to be used to develop weapons that can kill without a human being in the kill chain. And then number 2, we're not going to allow our AI to be used for mass surveillance of American citizens. And that Secretary Hegseth got very upset about those 2 conditions, that he refused those conditions. And now I think this is, you know, if we were a healthier country politically right now, we would be putting up left and right limits around the use of AI. We have really no guidelines for you all, really no law. That's not your fault. That's on us on a bipartisan basis that we haven't done it. And I would argue we should be doing
Yeah, Cassie, it's simply because China bad, so we have to give all control to the federal government. It's true.
Some of that for you all in this committee, setting up those left and right limits, because I think the average person does not think we should allow weapon systems to get into war and kill people without a human being overseeing that in some way. And I certainly don't think any American, Democrat or Republican, wants mass surveillance on the American people.
Somebody should tell her to come to this chat and see how many people want to be mass surveilled and want autonomous weapons with no human intervention. She should check that out.
So I guess my plea is for us as a committee to deal with this in the NDAA. But because you're up for the job on Homeland issues, I have to ask about this mass surveillance. Why wouldn't Secretary Hegseth say, no problem, we're never going to use AI at the Pentagon to conduct mass surveillance of American citizens? You've been the number 2 over there. You're now gunning for the number 1 job, up for confirmation. To your knowledge, is the Assistant Secretary role of Homeland Security, do you have any programs currently going on involved in the mass surveillance of American citizens?
Senator, I can't speak to the specifics of that meeting with Secretary
No,
Hegseth.
of course not. I'm not asking that. Just for you. You've been in the number 2 job. You're in the seat. Don't deflect. To your knowledge, is the purview of the position you're trying to get, is there any mass surveillance programs of the American people going on right now in that assistant secretaryship?
To my knowledge, Senator, not within that assistant secretaryship. We focus on policy
That's
writing.
That's fine. I want the answer to be no. I'm gunning for a no. I want you to say no. Are you aware, and can you confirm that it is illegal under U.S. law for the Department of Defense, particularly intelligence community assets, to surveil or target American citizens for their views?
Senator, I'm not intimately familiar with the exact language in different statutes.
I like this one. Like, we haven't seen ICE agents bragging about the existence of this system. Everybody that comes in front of Congress pretends this system does not exist, but like ICE agents are routinely bragging about that. They're getting out of their car, they're filming people, and they're telling people that we're adding you to a database. So pardon me if we don't believe you guys in the government right now, because your agents out in the field are doing something that looks an awful lot like collecting information to throw into a database, and they've been told that they're putting it into a database. So unless you're just lying to them for some reason and putting them in harm's way by asking them to get out of their cars and film people, we don't believe you.
I would always defer to the Office of General Counsel to make sure any policy advice that we provide is lawful.
Okay, it is the law, right? Executive orders, the National Security Act of 1947, and then everything that came out of Watergate. American citizens don't want to be surveilled by their government. You do criminal activity, go for it. You should be brought down. But mass surveillance, targeted surveillance of domestic terrorist organizations is a very...
Haven't they admitted that they're doing that? Isn't that what they say they're doing with Antifa, though they can't locate the leader or the group or the building or who any of these people in Antifa are? But they've told us repeatedly that they're collecting information on who Antifa is and that they are going to make arrests. How would you do that without a database? How would you create that database without surveillance? And by the way, is being Antifa, is being anti-fascist against the law in America? No, of course not.
Sensitive subject that you're going to be in the hot seat for. So I would offer that instead of
Don't hate me, guys. I like Slotkin more than AOC. Oh, ew. Ew. I don't hate you. I still like you, but pass on CIA lady over AOC.
Deferring, you should get to know the law really quickly. Because
I like her in this scenario. I do think that she's useful in the Senate. We'll say that. I do not want an ex-CIA agent in the office of the presidency.
You're going to be asked at some point whether the actions of this government are okay by you. And when it comes to targeting American citizens, using assets of the intelligence community, using AI to surveil American citizens, I want you to answer no, that you will uphold the values that I hope we all share, which is that the U.S. government should never target its own citizens. Department of Defense especially should be focused on foreign threats and the things that are coming at us from abroad. Yours should be focused on cyber threats, things that are important to protecting American citizens, not surveilling our own people. And I will just say, along the same lines of what you will be asked, you know, Senator Sheehy was in Iraq. I was in Iraq too. Do you know of any credible threats of violence against U.S. polling locations that would ever require the National Guard to be deployed? Any actual credible threats, yes or no?
Senator, in this particular forum, I can't speak about any threats that may or may not exist. I need to maintain operational security.
I think the idea...
Yeah, Airwolf, we covered that a few minutes ago. That Anthropic then was dropped by the administration because they didn't want to do mass surveillance or autonomous drones.
That the President of the United States is saying that we should deploy National Guard and potentially others around polling locations when there is no credible threats. You should bring them up here if there are credible threats. We all have clearances. But the idea that we could be deploying law enforcement and National Guard around a polling location without a credible threat should send a shiver down your spine. And you are going to be in the hot seat to say, no, I'm sorry. That just fundamentally cuts against who we are as Americans. And I hope you are willing to uphold your oath when it comes down to it. Yield back.
All right, we'll cut it there. Oh, neat. Live visibility restricted. Thank you, TikTok. It's good to cover the news, and they don't want you to show it, so that's always really cool. All right, here is let me pull this up. All right,
artificial.
We'll do this, and then we'll get into it. But I want to cover more of the showdown between Anthropic and the United States government. This was 60 Minutes and Anderson Cooper.
Intelligence company.
Why are you spamming Vanderbilt? You've said it a million times. What do you want me to look up with Vanderbilt? Relax, please. This is not on-demand service. We're not a fucking jukebox.
Their artificial intelligence to work. Anthropic.
Okay, then say that, Marion Barry. You don't need. If you have a job that could be replaced, where you could be replaced by AI, like your company's probably open to that. That's going to be, like you said, 50% of white-collar jobs can be replaced by AI. What's the plan with those jobs? Where are those people? Where are they planning on working? How do we plan on making sure that these people can afford to live? Replaced by AI last year? They think they can automate project management without Jesus. I mean, it was horrific trying to get my YouTube account back because of AI. Like once your company gets to a certain size, you just don't do customer service anymore. It's just AI. They replace it, and then they act like everything's going to be fine. Remember the good old days when you could just you kept hitting 0 until you got a human on the phone? Remember when you could bypass all that shit? But now you can't even do that. Like, try and get anybody from Google on the phone. I dare you. Any of these massive corporations, they are not spending a dime on taking care of customers. It's all AI, and if it's, they can just funnel out whatever they want. And what do? Like, you don't know. If you want to complain to them, who's it going to get to? I had to just repeatedly keep tagging them on Twitter over and over and over again. And as more people, and thank you guys for retweeting that and liking it, as more people got engaged, suddenly I was able to get somebody to email me back that was a conservatives. Like, this is the difference between conservatives and progressives. Conservatives see what's going on with AI, and they say things like, learn a trade. Pick a job that can't be replaced. Good advice, great. Doesn't fix the problem. It's never fixing the problem. Conservative ideology is, it's just the way that it is. Here's my suggestion for you to adapt. Progressives need to come up with ideas that will fix this problem. And maybe that problem is UBI. If these massive corporations can lay off 50% of their staff and replace them with AI, then they sure as shit shouldn't get their taxes cut, because now you're taking all that revenue and you're shrinking the pool of people who share that revenue. And now these people get massively richer, and the 50% of the people that they laid off don't have jobs anymore. So if you're going to do that, if we're going to turn into a country that's mostly run by AI, then we better tax the fuck out of the people who are making all the money so that we can have like a universal basic income.
And it's unusual for a technology company to...
But that's socialism, they'll say. And then they're just stuck in this never-ending loop. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The solution can't be socialism. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The solution can't be socialism. I have not a lot of patience today. It's been a long weekend. You have to start engaging in what's happening on the screen and not just repeating shit. You're going to get a shortest mute you can, mods. Can you mute DHLM6KA? And you have to start engaging with what's on the screen. Because I'm trying to read the chat, and I want to keep you guys engaged, but some of you just fuck that all up for everybody. So we may just have to knock our viewers down to get rid of the losers in here that can't pay attention to what we're talking about. There's another 8 minutes that you guys can catch that. That was 60 minutes, but we get in trouble if we play too much of that. So there we are. Let's get to, before we get to that rant, I want to... Pete Hegseth fucking sucks. He got his makeup done, adjusted the lighting here, looking hot, and decided to tell us that the Department of War is now taking credit for fixing the Boy Scouts of America.
For more than a century, Boy Scouts of America prepared over 130 million American boys to make moral and ethical choices, not just during their formative years, but for a lifetime as they grew into men. The first few words of the Scout Oath exemplify this. Quote, "On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country."
Sometimes you can swear oaths to things that sound good, and it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. The Scouts might be an example of that, and we'll get to that here in a minute.
The Boy Scouts are embedded in our communities. They're sponsored by community organizations, service clubs, and churches. Many Boy Scouts have gone on to senior leadership positions in their communities, in business, in our nation's military, and as elected representatives in local, state, and national office. 6 Boy Scouts have been elected President of the United States. 11 of the 12 men...
All right, negrified heroes got to be muted too. 5 minutes for you, bud. You got to stay on topic too. I'm tired of you.
To walk on the moon? Boy Scouts. Boy Scout training focused on responsible citizenship, character and leadership development, patriotism, personal fitness, self-reliance, faith, and a wide range of outdoor skills. It was a great program. And this department had a close relationship with the Scouts almost since its inception, as many troops meet on military bases. After 2012, however, the Boy Scouts lost their way.
Oh.
And a once
Want to guess what they did to lose their way?
great organization became gravely wounded. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, crept in. The name was changed to Scouting America. Girls were accepted.
Oh, no! Not girls! Oh, no!
The focus on God as the ruler of the universe was watered down to...
I mean, bro, you were letting a lot of people into your marriages. I know you weren't real exclusionary yourself.
...include openness to humanism and earth-centered pagan religions.
Oh, no! They were open-minded. They allowed people with different belief systems. Whatever will we do?
Scouting became an organization that no longer supported and celebrated boys.
Oh, no.
They even welcomed the destructive myth of gender fluidity and transgenderism to infiltrate their membership.
Oh, no. Scary.
Along the way, standards were lowered and merit destroyed in favor of an...
There were no standards for Boy Scouts. You just showed up. I was a Boy Scout. I promise you we didn't have standards. Ooh, tough face there. I mean, standards were lowered. You just sign up. Unless you mean by standards are lower that, like, you don't have a penis, in which case, sure.
Insidious, radical, woke ideology that is anti-America and anti-American. The result, membership cratered.
Yeah.
Americans didn't want this.
Yeah.
In 19...
You know what really happened? You know why membership really cratered? Because the Mormon Church pulled out. And the Mormon Church made up like 30 to 40% of the Boy Scouts. And because they allowed leaders to be gay, the Mormon Church stepped out of Boy Scouts, and a bunch of like hysterical Christians stepped out because they couldn't allow anybody who didn't share their views to be part of the Boy Scouts because they have to make everything fucking political.
10 million boys participated in Boy Scouts. Currently, less than 1 million boys and girls participate.
Oh, bummer. You know what else could have been the reason, and we can end it there, but it could have been, maybe it was the wokeness. Maybe it was
trafficking.
This.
I mean, it's the largest pedophile ring on earth.
A group of lawyers says about 800 men have come forward in recent months with allegations they were sexually abused when they were Boy Scouts. The group...
Yeah, maybe that was the problem. Pretty on brand for this administration, though, to blame wokeness and not abusing children. It's pretty on brand. Everything is the fault of woke, and the abusers are never the problem. Perhaps it's the thousands of cases that they've covered up of sexual abuse. Perhaps could be it.
Called Abused in Scouting made the announcement during a press conference Tuesday. Attorneys told reporters those former scouts identified at least 350 alleged abusers who don't appear in the Boy Scouts disciplinary files. The lawyers started gathering these accounts while preparing a lawsuit, which they filed on behalf of a single anonymous...
Yeah, perhaps it's a mix of the two, DH, but only one of these is actually harmful, and the other one means you're a bitch. One of them hurts you, and the other one is just like, I'm scared of different.
Client Monday. The suit alleges the plaintiff was assaulted hundreds of times over the course of several years by a Boy Scout leader in Pennsylvania. The news comes as the Boy Scouts is considering bankruptcy.
I appreciate you saying that, Jim. Back in the 50s, my dad was a scout leader before all this abuse. The abuse was happening there then, too. Just nobody ever talked about it. They covered it up.
Bankruptcy filing would temporarily halt the numerous lawsuits the organization is facing and block new ones. Abused in Scouting told the Washington Post it sent the allegations it's compiled to the Boy Scouts so the organization can report the abusers to law enforcement. The Boy Scouts told the outlet it has done so about 120 times.
Yeah. Maybe it was the hundreds of millions of dollars they've had to settle. Maybe that was why people stopped going to Scouts. But yeah, it was probably because there were girls there. That's probably what it was. Just a reminder, we're crowdfunded. We are about an hour, about an hour into the show because we had that freeze there. We do rely on your generosity to keep the lights on around here, and anything you can do to help us knock out that gift goal would be greatly appreciated. You know the normal ways to take care of that. We'll read anything you say. super chats, TikTok gifts, and then the normal ways that we can't say since we're on TikTok. But if you could help us with that, that would go a long ways in helping us continue this show every single day. One more thing from 60 Minutes, which some people like 60 Minutes had a hell of a weekend. And as I was going through the outline today, getting ready to talk about Iran, the one thing I wanted to make sure that we didn't do is ignore real problems that are also happening in this country, specifically the Epstein files, the uptick in gun violence. Obviously, we covered the attacks on the judicial branch and the corruption within the government and trying to create a mass surveillance state. And I know for a fact that this administration wants us to talk about anything other than what we're talking about today. So before we get to Iran, I want to cover just a few more things. This was an awesome 60 Minutes segment. You can check it out in full, talking about the studies that they've now done on school shootings and what can and or what does and does not help in preventing school shootings. Just a reminder, we're the only country who struggles with this in this way. The only one. Every other country has figured this out. And much like healthcare, we just continue to double down on dumb shit because Republicans exist, because conservatives exist, and they don't believe in changing anything or fixing anything. They just think that it's progressives need to shut up and then everything will just fix itself. Amy Lynn said the BTK serial murderer was a Boy Scouts troop leader. Good point. Send little kids alone in the woods with grown men. What could go wrong? Yeah. Everybody I know that was abused as a member of my church, it took place during like church and Boy Scouts events together. So.
Prevention might have protected Oxford High students from this moment. There were red flags for months. Prosecutors say the gunman, Ethan Crumbley, had texted his mother on multiple occasions that he saw demons in the family home. 3 months before the shooting, he assured a friend he was just kidding after he texted that it's time to shoot up the school. And 24 hours before the attack, his troubling conduct escalated. According to prosecutors and court testimony, here's what happened. A teacher emailed administrators that she saw the sophomore looking at different bullets online in class. A school administrator left a voicemail for the boy's mother.
Thanks, Burnout.
She didn't respond, but later texted her son, "LOL, I'm not mad. You have to learn not to get caught." The next morning, just hours.
That's fucking insane. Trigger warning here.
Hours before the shooting, another teacher alerted administrators that the teen's math worksheet had drawings of a gun, a bullet, and a person bleeding, along with the
TikTok.
words, "The thoughts won't stop. Help me. Blood everywhere." He was taken to a guidance counselor's office and his parents were called in. The counselor testified that he recommended therapy and suggested the Crumbleys take their son home, but they refused, citing work. The meeting lasted just 12 minutes. They left, and he went back to class. His backpack was never checked. 2 hours later, surveillance video shows the 15-year-old walked into the bathroom, pulled a gun out of that backpack, entered the hallway, and started shooting. Police found his journal on the bathroom floor, detailing his desire and plan to shoot up his classmates.
What are we doing about that? Here's Jillian Peterson. She's studied and spoken with many of these mass shooters. And what the research tells us, it sucks because this stuff doesn't seem to matter very much in this country. The research will tell us everything, and there will still be millions upon millions of Americans who say, fuck your research. The Second Amendment means that we all get access to whatever we want.
One of the guys we interviewed.
Densley and Peterson have spent the last 10 years researching hundreds of mass shootings, interviewing those who knew the gunmen and also the shooters themselves, hoping to better understand their pathways to violence and how to stop them.
What's the pattern that emerged from the data? We saw an early childhood with a lot of pretty significant violence or neglect, domestic violence in the home that kind of laid the foundation.
Did you ever say to any of these mass shooters,
Could somebody have stopped you? That was one of the questions I asked every time.
Every time. Every time asked that question, and here's the answer.
Is there anyone or anything that could have stopped you? And every person we talked to said yes.
100%. And yet we have like this whole political movement right now that's based on like empathy is a problem, sympathy is a problem, communication is a problem. Let's pull resources from school. All these school resource officers and counselors, all they ever want to do is wokeify the students. Let the parents teach the children. School is to teach math. School is to teach English. So we don't do anything. And then we just continue the problem.
One of them even said, I think anyone could have stopped me.
Their research shows that over 90% of all school mass shooters broadcast their plans online or in person before they commit the atrocity. Investigators say the gunman in Parkland, Florida,
shoot in the window,
Uvalde, Texas, and Appalachia High in Winder, Georgia, all told people about their intent before the attacks.
All right. Go watch that on 60 Minutes. It's troubling to watch. It's weird even watching the chat. Like, we have to protect the Second Amendment. Okay, fine, but can like kids be more important than the Second Amendment or no? We can't. We can't make any changes there. We can't add any guardrails. We can't. We just got to let kids die forever. What we have to do. What is the problem? The problem is, DH, that we have more mass shootings in this country than any other country. And hysterically, you guys are always blaming immigrants and Muslims for all the problems, talking about everybody else is so violent. Well, the countries they come from don't have this problem. You had Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico saying, "Hey, United States, we've been helping you with drugs. Look at the fentanyl drugs coming into your country. Look at how much we've helped you curtail that." Started with the Biden administration in 2024, and then into the Trump administration, we've curtailed the flow of fentanyl into this country. And Claudia Sheinbaum's like, "We've done our job. Now, how about you stop sending your guns to us?" There's something like there's a handful, less than a handful of gun stores in Mexico. And I saw this stat the other day. I think it was within 100 miles of the border on each side, in Mexico, there's 1 or 2 gun shops total. And along that same border on the United States side, there's 9,000 gun shops. We talk about the violence that's all kicked off in Mexico recently. When they do these seizures, it's usually like 70 to 80% of the guns come from America. Imagine if other countries treated us like we treat them when we have problems here. We have a problem here with drugs, and we're like, it's everybody else's fault. We better go after them. And then they have a problem with gun violence, and they get all their guns from here, and we're like, oh, that's on you. That's on you. It's a problem. We have a population of 330 million, so this is going to happen. Yeah. See, we just got to let kids die. We have 300. Well, China. Why doesn't China have a problem? Why doesn't Russia have this problem? Why doesn't India have this problem? What about Pakistan? Why don't they have this problem? How come we're the only ones with this problem? What's different about our country that those countries don't have? I wonder. Weird. I mean, we just have a lot of people who care far more about their firearms than they care about children in this country. And again, I'm not even advocating that necessarily, it's impossible to get rid of all the guns. There's nothing you can do to get rid of all the guns. But what you can do is, number one, you can start funding these schools. You could give these kids access to universal health care. How many of these parents do you think have children who they can't afford to send their kid to therapy? Do they have they may not have the resources. They may not know. They might both work full-time jobs. They may be incapable themselves. They might have a mental illness themselves. What if these kids had access to a therapist? Yeah, heaven forbid we do universal health care and make sure the kids are getting the treatment that they need. Yeah, that would just be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's health care, but we can't do anything. Health care is socialism. We're not going to do that. All right. How long is this one? I might send this the next day. Yeah, I'm gonna save that for tomorrow. Couple things before we get into Iran here, because I definitely want to make sure that we don't forget about the Epstein files. This from the New York Times. Epstein's New Mexico ranch gets scrutiny at last, maybe too late. A state-led inquiry that we talked about last week from New Mexico is now relaunching an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's ranch. But it turns out there was actually an investigation in 2019, and it was taken over for some reason by federal prosecutors. Under the Trump administration, federal prosecutors reached out and they said, hey, we're taking this case over. You can't do it anymore. Last month, lawmakers in New Mexico, spurred by the Justice Department's latest release of Epstein documents, voted unanimously to change that, impaneling a bipartisan 4-member Truth Commission in the state legislature, equipped with subpoena power to probe the sordid history of the Zorro Ranch. The state's attorney general also announced he would reopen an investigation his office had closed shortly before Epstein's death in 2019. We need to find out how he was able to operate without any accountability, Andrea Romero, a New Mexico state representative from Santa Fe who's leading the Truth Commission, said. We have to understand what allowed this to happen. That won't be easy since Mr. Epstein's death. The property has changed hands, potentially complicating the state's investigation. The new owner, a Dallas real estate magnate and former state senator named Don Huffings, is running for comptroller of Texas, an inopportune time or moment for investigators, though he has said he would cooperate with law enforcement. An anonymous tip from someone who claimed to have worked at the ranch said Mr. Epstein concealed the deaths of 2 abused girls by ordering them to be buried in the hills. I've been watching too much Big Short, and I have Michael Burry on my mind. In the hills outside the ranch, it's unclear whether the FBI ever looked into that tip. We don't have any investigation there. The year of Mr. Epstein's death, 2019, was also the year the trail went cold in the high desert. As the criminal charge against Mr. Epstein gained momentum, the New Mexico Attorney General's office was interviewing witnesses about his possible wrongdoing locally. But federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York asked state authorities to stop their work and share all they had found with federal officials, according to Hector Balderas, a former New Mexico Attorney General, and recently released emails. The prosecutors believed their case would be stronger if they led the investigation, Mr. Balderas recalled. But a year later, he decided federal authorities were not being aggressive enough, and his office sent a letter urging them to seize Mr. Epstein's New Mexico assets. Why wouldn't you? How on earth would we not seize these assets? We believe that this ranch was used by Epstein and others to facilitate the commission and prolonged concealment of his trafficking of children, the letter read. Mr. Balderas did not receive a reply. The Southern District of New York directed a request for comment to the Justice Department, which did not respond. Jim Sloan, a longtime resident of that area, turned down work on Zorro Ranch in the 90s rather than sign a non-disclosure agreement. My dad's a contractor. I don't know that he's ever been asked. I should check with him. He's done some pretty wealthy individuals' houses. I don't think he's ever signed a non-disclosure agreement. Just seemed fishy to me, said Mr. Sloan, who lives in Galisteo, about 10 miles north of the ranch. Today, New Mexico officials say Mr. Epstein appeared drawn to their state for several reasons. One, along with the King family, Mr. Epstein's powerful connections included Bill Richardson, another former governor of New Mexico, United Nations ambassador and energy secretary who died in 2023. New Mexico also has more lenient sex offender registry laws, which allowed Mr. Epstein to avoid registration after pleading guilty to felony sex crimes in Florida. So, just another buried investigation during the Trump administration. How many more ties do we have to the Trump administration here before you guys start considering that this might be a cover-up? Evil ass shit. Right, got those. Okay, moving on. I love this. Check out what Rokana says they have now, and more information pours out, including I don't have the report here today. I haven't read it all the way through, but new reporting says that the building where Epstein was leasing his first apartment in '92 was actually owned by the U.S. government after they seized it from Iran. You also have now reporting that Lutnick is purchasing or attempting to purchase a property with, I think it's the UAE, where prominent individuals in the Epstein files have been listed, and now we're going to have Lutnick with all the dirt possible all over his face. And it looks like Congress now has the votes to subpoena Lutnick and is going to bring him before Congress. Here's Ro Khanna.
We have the votes to subpoena Lutnick. I don't believe we have.
Non-disclosures happen. I do contractor work, and usually celebrities do it so that anything you see on site you can't talk about. Yeah, I hear you. That makes sense.
To subpoena Lutnick.
But in Epstein's case, he wasn't a celebrity, right? He was a sex criminal.
I don't believe we have the votes right now to subpoena President Trump because the Republicans control the House, and I don't think they would vote with us on that. But when Robert Garcia is chair of the Oversight Committee, we will have those votes. And the Clinton rule means that Donald Trump and his family members should testify. By the way, he should do it voluntarily. I mean, he should look at what President Clinton did. He answered every question. Why can't Donald Trump do the same? There's this question of these 3 FBI interviews. There's someone who made allegations against Donald Trump that she was sexually abused as a minor. I want to be very clear. There's no evidence whether that's true or not, but there were allegations made. One of those witness interviews was released. 3 of them are hidden by the Justice Department. Why are they hidden? When will they be released? These are the types of questions Donald Trump needs to answer.
All right.
Yeah. Which he won't. He never testifies, but it looks like we may get Howard Lutnick. Alfredo says, when will Howard Dictator finally be taken out? Maybe after the midterms and through impeachment. I assume that's what you meant, legally removed from power. I don't think anybody would ever suggest on this stream any other way, but yeah, maybe. See how the midterms go. They seem to be very, very nervous about the midterms. They're the ones that keep saying it, like if we lose the midterms, Trump's going to be investigated. Luckily, he has Gaza that he can escape to. He can just take a nice little pardon and take him and his family to Gaza, where he gets to go be the king of Gaza. So, and then 2 more things. I want to talk about the SAVE Act. This is a reminder. This is an older video. This is Brian Still, but just a reminder that the SAVE Act has very little to do with voter ID. It has very little to do with a law that already exists, that if you're here and you're undocumented, you can't vote in federal elections. And it's all a smokescreen to drive down voter turnout and suppress as many voters as you possibly can. But also a reminder that it directly affects women in a way that it will not affect men.
Every state is going to have a slightly different process because marriage certificates may look a little bit different, but it'll look a lot like if an individual wanted to go and sell their car. If you had a different name than was on your car, there's a simple, straightforward process for that. Every state is going to...
All right. Just a reminder. If we have midterms, yeah, I mean, they're going to... I saw somebody today say that they think that the government will stage an attack here on home soil and claim it was Iran so that they can shut down the elections. I just don't think they don't... I just honestly don't believe they have smart enough people to get that done. But here's some really interesting reporting from ProPublica. On Friday, we talked about the people behind this new Trump loss or this Trump action in Georgia, and the people that are pushing the stolen election 2020 shit. It's the same people who did it before, and they lost in court every fucking time. They're not good at what they do. They have never been able to prove any of what they're saying. But in this current political environment, and with the midterms in November, you can kind of stretch this out. You can see the Trump plan unfolding, that they are going to stretch this out, and then try and take some action last minute where they will just go ahead and do what they want to do and then wait for the courts to overrule them. I wouldn't expect that you see much in terms of a plan by the Trump administration. I think when voting starts, you will see them start sending people to the polls. They may start sending ICE to the polls. That's when you're going to find out just the extent to which they've been able to infiltrate state governments and suppress voter rolls and remove people from voter rolls and make it more difficult for people to vote in general. But ProPublica reporting that Trump officials attended a summit of election deniers who want the president to take over the midterms, and this is some pretty alarming stuff. Several high-ranking federal election officials attended a summit last week at which prominent figures who worked to overturn Trump's 2020 loss pressed the president to declare a national emergency to take over this year's midterms. According to videos, photos, and social media posts reviewed by ProPublica, the meeting's participants included Kurt Olson, a White House lawyer charged with reinvestigating the 2020 election, and Heather Honey, the Department of Homeland Security official in charge of election integrity. The event was convened by Michael Flynn, who, boy, he's just been proven right over and over. Trump's former national security advisor, and attended by Cleta Mitchell, who directs the Election Integrity Network, a group that has spread false claims about election fraud and non-citizen voting, has been caught in court. They've had to apologize, and they've had to retract much of their own work because they consistently lie. It's about voter rolls. It is about voter rolls. I agree with you. Election experts say that the meeting reflects on intensifying push to persuade Trump to take unprecedented actions to affect the vote in November. Courts have largely blocked his efforts to reshape elections through an executive order, and legislation stalled in Congress that would mandate strict voter ID requirements across the country. Chat, I'd like to engage you here for the MAGA folks. Can you tell me what it is that is so threatening to our elections that the federal government needs to take it over? Can you point to like an action that happened, a true thing that I could verify here that would give me concern about our elections in November, and a reason why the federal government would need to override the Constitution and take over the elections? We'll pause this for a second while we're going. Again, we are crowdfunded, so anything you can do to help us knock out that gift goal would be greatly appreciated. We're about halfway through with the live today, and Jen will get real snarky if we don't take care of that. So anything you can do to help us knock that gift goal would be awesome. Ballot boxes that were found hidden. Where were the ballot boxes that were found hidden? Let's look these things up one by one. All right. I don't know if you know were there any hidden ballot boxes discovered after the 2020 election? Let's see. No evidence has surfaced of secret hidden ballot boxes being discovered after the 2020 election in a way that changed results, but there were a few isolated incidents of misplaced or discarded ballots that were found and then handled with existing procedures. So no, not that. What else? 6 million names removed from voter rolls 5 weeks ago thanks to Judicial Watch. I didn't catch that. 6 million? Holy shit. I was just listening to Judicial Watch. Is that real? Mute Pat for 5 minutes because Pat's not engaging here. Pat, you can come back and try again. You're just spamming the same shit about how Dems are bad. If there's fraud in voting, then why is this ministry? Anything? Well, Chris, just tell me what I'm supposed to look up. I'm happy. I'm doing your work. You can just say that like I'm dumb, but could you give me an example of something? Over 5 million dirty voter names cleaned from voter rolls. This is the story you cited there. Judicial Watch announced that its analysis and use of voter registration lists has led to lawsuits and legal actions under the National Voter Registration Act that have resulted in the removal of 5 million names from voter rolls in nearly a dozen states and localities over the last several years. Kentucky, 735. I'd have to look into those claims individually. I'm not sure exactly what those claims are. I'll leave this up and I'll look into that. How come none of you can answer this question? Nothing? All right, we'll get back to the article here then. The Washington Post reported Thursday, and we covered that story, that there was a circulating draft of an executive order that would ban mail-in ballots and get rid of voting machines as part of the federal takeover. Peter Tickton, a lawyer who worked on the executive order and had a client at the summit, told ProPublica these actions were all part of the same effort. Peter Tickton is 0 for like 7 in court cases. He gets struck down every single time. Summit followed other meetings and discussions between administration officials and activists, many not previously reported, stretching back to at least last fall, according to emails and recordings obtained by ProPublica. you can go down and you can read the rest of that. But there was a 30-person roundtable where they discussed this. And again, no evidence of voter fraud. Nobody's been able to give us any evidence of this voter fraud that existed in 2020. We're relitigating it. And before we even relitigate it, they're demanding that the president take action and take control of the election. So stuff that's already gone to court hundreds of times that has been proven to not be factual, we're going to cancel the elections for that or take control of the elections for that? You got to be a real fucking dipshit to believe this shit. You got to be really fucking stupid to believe that this is about election security and not about authoritarianism. But I think that most of the people on the right don't care about that. Sam said, not a ton, and I understand that you need a weekend like the rest of us, but goddamn, it sucks having 2 days without your show. Many thanks to you. I appreciate that. Maybe someday. When my daughter's a little older and she doesn't want to hang out with me anymore, I may consider streaming a little bit more. But as long as she wants to hang out with me on those days, that's we're going to do that. Have I watched the documentary of the 2,000 Mules? I have. Are you aware, Chris, that the evidence behind 2,000 Mules, specifically the geo-tracking, that was done by Election Truth Alliance, or not Election Truth Alliance, the other one that we just cited. Are you aware that they have had to retract all that data? And Dinesh D'Souza has had to come out and admit that the data that they relied on to make those connections of the drop-off boxes and the geolocation data, that none of that was actually conclusive. And they couldn't prove anything other than some cars drove near ballot boxes multiple times a day. They don't know who was in those cars. They don't know if those cars stopped at the ballot boxes. They just know that that certain cars drove past those ballot boxes multiple times a day. Dinesh D'Souza has admitted this. And this is, again, the problem that we have with propaganda is that it goes out first, and this is what Trump understands better than anybody. Throw your bullshit narrative out there first, convince people that it's true. They get convinced that it's true, and then when the fact check comes out about it, they dismiss the fact check as liberal propaganda. But this has all been completely debunked. Yeah, that was a great debate by Destiny and Dinesh. Not a big fan of Destiny, but he killed him in that debate. Did you guys know that about 2,000 mules? Yeah, the place I drive past the place where I drop off my ballot box at least twice a day. At least twice a day, I'll go past where I drop off my ballot. You're really not that fucking stupid, are you? See, this is the thing. This is the problem with all of you. Like, do you want to see it? We'll show it to you. I guess we probably have to show you guys this stuff before you'll admit it, but here you go. The company behind the widely debunked 2,000 Mules, which spread the conspiracy theory that Democrats stole the 2020 election through mail-in ballots, has issued an official apology. It said it would halt distribution of the film and remove both the film and book from its platforms. Salem Media apologized specifically to Mark Andrews, a voter from Georgia, falsely depicting illegally voting in 2,000 Mules. The film's allegations led to a full investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, which eventually cleared Andrew of wrongdoing, and he was found he was legally dropping off ballots for members of his family, but the damage had already been done. Andrew filed a defamation suit against Salem Media, alleging that the film led to violent threats against him and his family. They worry again that they will be baselessly accused of election crimes, and that believers in the Mules theory may recognize and seek reprisal against them, and they may face physical harm. According to a court filing in a related case, Salem settled the Salem settled the lawsuit brought by Andrews from an undisclosed significant amount. In the statement on its website, Salem wrote, "It was never our intent that the publication of 2,000 Mules film and book would harm Mr. Andrews. We apologize for the hurt." Yada, yada, yada. Andrews also filed a defamation suit against the team behind the movie, right-wing commentator Dinesh D'Souza and the group True. Oh, it's True the Vote. There we go. True the Vote. Now we can get to Dinesh D'Souza's. When was that? That was, let's see. Here's D'Souza's apology, I think. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get one that doesn't have a paywall. we can find this from MSN.
Kash Patel has consistently pushed false claims of voter fraud during the 2020 election, including a widely debunked film by the name of 2000
Our
Mules.
hit piece was never designed as a hit piece.
And now, the man who made the film, Dinesh D'Souza, is finally admitting publicly, that parts of the film are simply not true. The core of D'Souza's conspiracy theory contended that Democrats hired mules during the 2020 election to collect and drop off ballots at the same drop boxes multiple times. D'Souza released a statement on his website.
I got that message you sent to Jen earlier. I saw that. I appreciate that. That the SAVE Act is DOA. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yesterday, admitting the data he used to promote that theory was not accurate, and that he only recently learned of the inconsistencies.
Oh, please.
So now what? The entire conspiracy was based on this, and they're saying now they know it wasn't accurate.
Come on. Everybody, Ann Coulter said it was stupid years ago. It was so patently, obviously, stupidly false, and everybody knew it when it came out.
D'Souza also issued an apology to an Atlanta area man who sued after the film wrongly identified him as a so-called mule, repeatedly dropping off ballots. Despite those admissions, D'Souza maintains the underlying premise of...
Peter said only military government personnel overseas and those registered in person by an official can use mail-in voting. No drop-off boxes. Voter logs must be checked against registry annually. Yeah, I think you're just citing what it says in the SAVE Act, right?
His film, quote, holds true and continues to claim there was substantial fraud in the 2020 election without providing any evidence to back up
never provide, Jonathan Lemire. They never provide any evidence. They do the damage. They do wild claims.
Say they're sorry.
They destroy people's lives. Look at Rudy Giuliani, the lives that Rudy Giuliani destroyed and the cost of it to those women, and now the financial cost to Rudy Giuliani.
3,000 double scanned ballots in Fulton County. Let's look that up. 3,000 double scanned ballots in Fulton County. Just like how he talks over it. Yeah, their show sucks. What even is this? I haven't even heard this claim. Let's see. Is this it? Make me subscribe. Have you guys heard this claim about 3,000 double scanned ballots? Listen to these idiots. Of course there was fraud. We all saw how they did it. How did they do it then, Lee? Tell us how they did it. That's what we're trying to look up here. You guys just keep saying we saw it, and then we ask you to explain what you saw. The first person said 2,000 mules. We debunked that. Now the next person is saying there were 3,000 double scanned ballots. Let's look. I'm looking for that. There's evidence that Fulton County scanned roughly 3,000 ballots twice during the 2020 recount, but state investigators and the election officials say they have found no evidence that 3,000 or any similar number of votes were actually counted twice in the official results. So they just got scanned twice, but then they didn't count. A review of Fulton County's 2020 presidential recount concluded the county likely scanned around 3,000 ballots twice. Separately, state officials said that there was just over 3,000 duplicate ballot images, stressing that duplicate images are not the same as duplicate votes, and that they could not confirm that any of these were actually included twice in the tally. Okay, so these were just the images that they stored later on. Okay, so 0 for 2. What else are we looking for? Who the fuck cares? It's over. Well, it's not over because Trump's trying to use all of these debunked claims to try and take control of the elections this year. It looks like exactly. The security that was in place seemed to have worked there, right? Let's see. Dustin says, giving extra because you are talking about the potential election executive order. Thanks. Thank you, Dustin. Cindy said to help you take a little snarkiness out of Jen. Love you both. All right. Thank you. 3 months of early ballots. What else do we have? Duplicate ballots is being scanned doesn't make any sense. I don't know exactly how it works, but these are just the images. Nothing has been debunked. Yeah, yeah. They just say that. They make a claim, it gets debunked, and they're like, no, that's not actually debunked. You're on serious denial. I think you meant in and your Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. There we go. All right. Well, we tried. Is any other claims we need to look up before we move on to Iran? Anybody? Happy to look up any other things real quick. Why was there any talk of voter fraud before Trump ran for office? There was always, I don't know where you've been. I think that many of you never checked into politics until Trump ran for office. There was always, there was a massive recount with Bush Gore. So I don't know when you're talking about that. When were claims debunked? I just showed you. Just showed it to you. I just did show you. I'm concerned about all of you. We literally just showed you. And you're like, show us. Yeah, I don't know how to show you more. Proud Atheist said, how long until he starts citing his own shenanigans as evidence of voter fraud, knowing his followers won't look deeper than the headlines? He can say anything. Like in Arizona, we spent millions of dollars on the most obviously stupid claims, like that there were Chinese ballots. So then they were going through like these ballots and trying to find evidence that there was bamboo in the paper, and that would prove that China actually distributed the ballots and then sent them in. That day that came up with nothing. 5 audits in Arizona, and all it showed was Biden won by a few more votes than they originally thought. Anybody else? Transphobia, that's good to see. Good to see you guys focusing on trans people. All right, let's move into Iran. And it's something that shouldn't surprise any of us with the most corrupt administration ever to exist. In the betting markets on Polymarket, there's 6 suspected insiders that made $1.2 million betting on a U.S. strike in Iran. You can see U.S. strikes in Iran by February 28th, 2026. Made about $500,000 there. This person's made $120,000 there. $150,000 there. We're insider trading on war now. Our whole economy is just a fucking casino. That's pretty cool, right? This is on the Angry Men podcast, which I was unaware of what this was, but or Two Angry Men. This is forget both of their names. This is the founder of TMZ, and then I forget what this guy's name is. But they were supposed to get ready for a podcast, and this dude just like didn't show up. He stayed at a restaurant in D.C., and he'll tell you why he stayed at the restaurant in D.C.
Where are you?
Washington, D.C., Joe's Stone Crab.
Could you have picked a more crowded restaurant?
No. And in fact, if I were to tell you what I was overhearing at the next table, you'd die.
Oh, I think I'm going to ask you that. Okay, here we go. You're in Washington, D.C. You could have gone to a million places to do a podcast where it was calm, and you choose Joe's Stone Crab.
Correct. What? And by the way, do you know why? Because I actually was going to leave, but the conversation that I was overhearing on the next table over was so fascinating I couldn't leave.
Oh, spill it. Spill it.
I think things are happening by the time this drops in Iran is what I'll leave it at that.
You're kidding me. Somebody from the government was next to you?
Now, in all fairness, everybody saw this coming. Everybody said last week that Trump would enter negotiations with Iran, and then midway through the midway into the negotiations, he would just then attack, because that's what he does. He's such a bad faith person, and he's such I'll say evil. You can say dumb. You can say poorly calculated. Whatever you want to label it. Everybody knew this was going to happen, but there's people inside the Pentagon that are going to lunch, and they're just openly talking about, hey, like, we're going to hit Iran tomorrow.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
No.
By the way, my meal is getting cold.
I don't care. I'll buy you another meal. I'll buy you another meal. What did they say?
that today is the day. Friday is
on Friday.
Sitting here.
Are you serious?
I literally just heard it at the next table, so I'll leave it at that.
Holy crap!
Yeah. Wild. It's wild where the times we're living in.
Oh, my God.
I'll see you next week, Harvey. Thank you.
Bye, Mark.
Bye-bye.
And then midnight, I don't know when it exactly happened. I was out on Friday. It's a rare instance of me going out. I even had a few cocktails in me. I was having a really nice night on Friday. I don't remember the last time I went out and had cocktails. Real nice night. Midnight, text from Jen. We bombed Iran. I'm like, fucking Christ. Jen, when my phone, like when I'm not here, my phone, I have notifications off, and there's the mother of my child and Jen. Those are the only text messages that can come through during that time. And fuck. When I saw it was Jen, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a problem. And here we are. Dave Portnoy and many others took to Twitter to lick the boots. This one made me laugh. It's also probably my most engaged with tweet here. Dave said, I always laugh at yo-yos. He's just aging himself. We don't have the first clue what information the president had that forced this decision. Even politicians who despise him but were briefed on the situation seem to agree that agree with this operation. I guess a lot of podcasters know better. Got to keep the lights on somehow. Borderline traitors, if you ask me. Iran is a terror nation with a long history of some of the worst human rights atrocities in the world. Yeah, I mean, so is Israel, right? We don't do much about that. He loves Israel. Nobody disputes that fact. They hate Americans. Yeah, I would probably hate Americans if I were them. They hate Israel. I would hate Israel if I were them. They hate all Jews. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't speak to that. They hate the West. I don't know if that's true, but it would make sense. They would kill us all if given the chance. Then why don't they? How come they don't then? How come they're not out there doing that? Why aren't they attacking other countries all the time? Why aren't they coming to the United States and attacking us on our soil? Why aren't they sneaking in and attacking us? I keep hearing this from neocons. I keep hearing it from Israel. They would take you out if they could. Well, why have they never tried? Why'd they agree to the Iranian nuclear agreement? Why did they agree to only enrich uranium to 3.6%? Seems like a weird thing to do if they were going to come get you anyways, right? Seems like this is all they have to tell you, is they hate you, and you're okay killing them. They just murdered tens of thousands of their own people. True. The rest of the Middle East is on our side. Not true. Not very true. The Iranian people are on our side. Also not true. Many people in Iran are protesting to attack back at the United States. There are people in Iran that are on our side, and there are people that are not on our side. It isn't that complicated to support our troops in our country this morning. How is supporting your troops in our country? Like, what was the threat? What was the threat to us? MAGA, this is your time. What direct threat was Iran making against us here? We're on the right side here. God bless America. And I responded, good point, Dave. We should absolutely just trust our government in regards to action in the Middle East. That has never let us down. He sounds like everybody ever who supports regime change wars, and they're wrong 100% of the time. Iran is going to civil war now? Maybe. But what are we doing? We have problems here. We don't have money to spend on healthcare. We got to rip money away from poor people, give tax cuts to billionaires, and then we're like, hey, let's spend billions, if not trillions of dollars bombing the fuck out of the Middle East for Israel. I can't believe you're comparing Israel to Iran, who kills women for wearing the wrong hat. I just watched what Israel did in Gaza, so shut the fuck up. That thing that you're talking about, like Iran, like, yes, they've done horrific things historically. Yes, they continue to do horrific things. But like you saying that women who wear hats get killed in Iran, that's just not true. That's like a cartoonized version of who Iran is right now. There's Christians openly practicing Christianity in Iran. Yeah, see how mad they get when you don't lick the boots? You're so showing how. Explain it to me. What's the threat? What was the threat that Iran posed to us? That's what Dave just said. That's what members of Congress keep saying. What's this threat? We do horrific things. We do worse things. Yeah, we do horrific things all the time. We just bombed we'll get to it, but we bombed a school, a girls' school. What's the threat? What Israel did in Gaza is called war. No, it's called genocide. It was not war. You guys, you were all anti-regime change war. We'll talk about that, but just not that long ago, you were all anti-regime change war. All right, let's get to Trump's statement, which was fucking weird. Sorry, we have to watch this guy. I'll speed him up a little.
Short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the...
Huh? Are you talking about the times when we attacked them and then they chanted death to America? I can't believe they were pissed off when we were attacking them. That's crazy.
The United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days.
Boy, we're going back. I thought we settled that. We just hold grudges forever.
1983, Iran's proxies carried out the...
1983 now. We got to go back to 1980. The threats so far we have are in the 70s and the 80s. Let's hear how many other direct threats they have now.
Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably...
No one's asking you guys to cry over Iran, by the way. Like, you can have whatever, empathy or not. Why the fuck are we doing it? Right? Why are we wasting our time, human lives, resources? Like, what the fuck are we doing over there? I'm not asking you to feel a certain way. People are going to feel differently about this, but like, why are we doing it?
Involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless...
Oh yeah, didn't we invade Iraq? They attacked us when we invaded another country over weapons of mass destruction that we never found, and we used 9/11 as a justification to do that, and Netanyahu was in Congress every day begging us to go to war with Iraq. Like, what? There's got to at some point, like, some of you need to recognize that perhaps the reason that Iran has a problem with us is because we keep attacking them and their allies in their region. They don't seem to have an issue with us when we're not over there. When we're not interfering and invading other countries, Iran doesn't seem to really have a problem with us.
Attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
Then just stay home. The 4 service members who have died would be alive if we just stayed home. At what point are they going to give us an explanation of why we're there that makes any sense?
Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal. Something like...
Okay, but again, if you're going to blame them for, if you're going to blame Iran for what Hamas did because of funding, then don't you also have to blame us for what Israel did because of funding? Oh yeah, I forget. You guys don't really care about innocent Palestinians who died. I forgot. My bad.
Like the world has never
it's sped up a little bit.
Seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and just...
No, again, we're number 1. USA, USA, USA. We're the number. Like, how many other countries has Israel bombed? Israel bombs other countries all the time, and we sponsor them. It's us. We're the #1 state sponsor of terror. Electric Dad said he's using our military to take out Iran so he can go to Gaza and not be bombed. Probably, right? Probably.
Recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It is always
Horrific. Horrific. Again, is that why we're bombing? It sounds like that was way down the line of reasons why we're bombing them.
Been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
And they've never really been close. Project Ajax in 1953, but with no bombs. Yeah. I think you say Ajax, isn't that how you say it?
Is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordo, Natanz.
Remember, they told us it would take years to rebuild. We obliterated it. It's going to take years to rebuild. It has not been years.
And Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it...
What was the practice evil? What was the practicing of evil that they were doing? They've repeatedly said they're open to an agreement where they pledge not to get a nuclear weapon. That's been on the table the entire time.
Has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to...
Again, Crumtown, we got that. They killed tens of thousands of their own people in the last 3 months. We got that. That's the one part, but it's like number 8 on the list of things that he said. He's talking about weapons right now. You, stop calling me stupid for responding to what he's saying. You guys treat Donald Trump like his words don't mean anything. We already passed that part. We're talking about this part. How come you guys can't explain anything that he's saying here? You're just holding on to the one thing. Yes. And by the way, the people were protesting peacefully, right? And the government wasn't doing anything about that. And this is stuff that's beyond all of our pay grades. But you've got to be outside of your fucking mind if you don't believe for 1 second that Israel and the United States were also behind the escalation of violence from those protesters. Israel has admitted that they infiltrated the protesters. Israel is all but taking credit for them rising up. So if you're going to stage a coup in a country and then blame the country for responding to the coup that you've staged, like they've prepared you. They did this with January 6th, where they staged a coup and then somehow turned all of the protesters into the victims, the people who stormed the Capitol, who were, again, a lot of them just probably well-meaning. They didn't show up thinking they were storming the Capitol that day. They wind up storming the Capitol. Why? Because everybody else was storming the Capitol, and they're like, oh, this must be okay. But Israel's already taken credit for that. They wanted this. They've been stoking the flames. The United States has been talking about installing their own leader. So yeah, what Iran did, I don't like. Not a fan. But if you are letting that be like a standalone action and not recognizing that both the United States and Israel infiltrated and escalated those tensions, then I just don't think you're really good faith about this. I think you're looking for ways to excuse it, what we're doing.
Continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland.
No evidence that they could reach the American homeland. But everybody else has missiles, by the way. But if Iran has missiles, it's a problem. Everybody else has allowed them.
Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation.
Now he's saying, imagine a scenario where they are more dangerous than we say they are. So we better take them out because there's a scenario that doesn't exist currently. And if that scenario did exist, then they would be dangerous. So we've got to kill them.
To prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
Oh, again? It's like a real special kind of like willful stupidity to buy what this man is selling.
We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IE.
They will rebuild. This is the problem with regime change war. If you take out the terrorists, new terrorists show up. Who came running into Afghanistan after we left? They just showed up that day? Where did ISIS come from? Where did Al Qaeda come from? The United States steps in, does regime change, creates a bunch of radicalists, and then those radicalists grow and grow and grow. It's an endless cycle. Regime change always does the same thing. It creates more extremists every fucking time. Whether you like what we're doing in Iran or not, it's irrefutable that every time we have done this, it has led to more atrocities in the future. It has led to more extremist groups in the future. It has led to more instability in the future. It has not become more stable. It never fucking becomes more stable.
IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called.
Yeah, no, I agree that Iran funds terrorists. I agree with that. I agree that they fund Hamas and Hezbollah. I also just agree that we fund terrorists. That kind of seems to be the difference, is that for whatever reason, Americans are not comfortable saying that we're doing the same thing that Iran does. And what Iran does is counterproductive, and what we're doing is counterproductive. The best thing we ever did with Iran in my lifetime is the agreement that we signed with them where we had oversight over their nuclear facilities along with the UN and NATO. And they kept uranium enrichment at 3.6% or less. That was the best course of action that we had taken, and it was leading to more peace until here comes Israel. Israel just wants to kick shit off again, and they have Trump pull out of the Iranian nuclear agreement. Nobody in the United States wanted that. Across the board, right and left, nobody wanted the Iranian nuclear agreement ripped up except for Trump. And it was just because it was a huge accomplishment by Obama.
To so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure
fuck
that...
UN's worthless. NATO's worthless. Okay, well, when we had the Iranian nuclear agreement, they were at 3.6% of enrichment. And once we ripped it up, they were up almost to 60%. So it seems like NATO and the UN was doing their job. And then when we pulled out of that agreement and we no longer held them responsible, and then the IAEA, once we got rid of that agreement, all of a sudden they enriched. So who fucked that up? God, you guys are just so fucking goddamn dumb. And you're so fucking goddamn dumb because you listen to a guy who is so fucking goddamn dumb. You just believe the opposite of what is true at all points. Why does Iran have more enriched uranium? Because we pulled out of the fucking agreement. That's why. Yeah, but I've been told that the UN and NATO is bad, so I'm just going to say that they're bad. You got to be better than that.
Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message.
Which was part of the Iranian nuclear agreement, that they promised not to obtain a nuclear weapon. And we had oversight, and we could go in and we could check their facilities. So why would we rip that up?
We'll never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication.
Cool.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so,
you could have negotiated and not send troops, and then we wouldn't have anybody dead. You could have just kept negotiating. That would have been, you didn't take every precaution. You ended in the middle of negotiations and attacked, and you cost the life of American soldiers.
And I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill.
That's not true, Jay Nunya. Iran did not stop letting inspectors in. And they were using American tax dollars to fund terrorism. No, that's not true. You're just like, you don't have any evidence of that. That's what Israel tells you, and you just lap it up.
Lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
We had zero confirmation or oversight with Iran nukes. They didn't have nukes. They've never had nukes. We could go in and inspect their facilities. None of you do none of you know this? Honest to God, why are you just blindly saying shit?
Often happens in war, but we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have...
Wow, but the people of Iran are celebrating. No, not all of them. Some of them. Why don't you know that? There were massive protests of people chanting death to America again. Why don't you know that?
Complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take...
That's what I just said. Lots of them are celebrating. Lots of them aren't. So don't come in here and be like, the people of Iran are celebrating. No, some of the people in Iran are celebrating.
Over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash...
Yeah, where's the source for 80% we're celebrating? It's
prosperous
bullshit.
and glorious future that is close within your reach.
They all stopped Iran's up. Let's take a straw poll real quick. What percentage of you are celebrating?
This is the moment for action.
Hey, Lost Girl, how is Iran a threat? Tell me how Iran is a threat. I'm stupid. Iran's a threat. How are they a threat to us?
Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all.
Again, not my area of expertise. I'm not saying that like I couldn't be persuaded that Iran was an imminent threat, but I haven't seen any evidence that they were an imminent threat. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But give me the evidence, please. All right, moving on here. This was kind of interesting because we mentioned this, and I think a lot of this has to do with the last year. But this is polling done before other conflicts in the Middle East. In Afghanistan 2001, which is right after 9/11, 92% of people overall were for invading Afghanistan. 96% of Republicans, 90% of Democrats. In Iraq, in 2003, 72% overall, 93% Republican, 59% Democrat. You'll notice a trend here that people on the left, when it comes to war, are almost always more on the right side of history than the people on the right. And now it's never been less popular. Only 69% of Republicans, 10% of Democrats, and 34% of people overall in this country think that we should invade Iran. That's historically bad numbers there. I don't mind spending hundreds of billions to Ukraine or spending 100 billion on illegals, but they killed 30,000. Now you have a problem. I don't have a problem with the money that we spend on illegal immigration here, largely because it's offset by the benefit, but I would just prefer that we give people amnesty. I don't have a problem with the money that we're spending in Ukraine because Ukraine is protecting itself from an invasion, and that keeps our allies safe. So no, I don't really have a problem with those things either. Do I have a problem with people that we fund killing hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza as a genocide? Yeah, I do. I have a problem with that. I don't think any of those are morally inconsistent with each other. I think my consistency morally is pretty sound there. It's not offset. Yeah, look it up, bud. Look it up. Hey, Jen.
Hey. So we got a lot of people saying a lot of stuff in the chat. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually come up and talk to RTP. How you do that is if you look at that Venmo username, that's my Discord. If you send me a message on Discord, I can bring you up and you can actually have a conversation. You don't have to just scream in the comments. Most of you won't because you
never do.
Never show up. But you can come up and talk. So that's an option. Also want to remind everybody, we're a bit of a ways away from the gift goal. I hate to do this to you guys. I'm not mad. I'm starting to be a little disappointed. We should be way further along in this gift goal. So if you know those pay links, super chats, any of that, this is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 1. So if you guys could help make a little bit of a dent in that, we'd really appreciate it. So I feel like we need a joke because this has been a whole lot. How do you get out of an elephant's stomach?
I don't know.
You run around until you're pooped.
Thank you. I'm just looking that up for you. Just Girl, whatever your name is. Lost Girl. Russian facilities hold nuclear weapons in Iran. Do you have a source for that? Because I looked that up. No credible evidence indicates that Russia has stationed its own nuclear weapons on Iranian territory, and governments and major intelligence assessments do not report any such deployment. I've got the Carnegie Endowment here, armscontrol.com, ABC News, J-Post, Reuters, CSIS, I think BRICS. Do you have a source on that, Just Girl, or are you just saying dumb shit? Or Lost Girl? Okay, give me your source, Lost Girl. Tell me where I should look this up. What's your source on this? I don't. It's weird. It's kind of funny that like I say that I'm not an expert and I don't know everything. And so I look it up and then there's no evidence. And you're like, see, you're not an expert. Yeah, I explained that. That's why I'm looking it up. So what's the source for this? You guys can help Lost Girl here in the chat. What's the source? Because now that I'm asking for a source, Lost Girl's just saying that I lie. But what's your fucking source? I'm pretty convinced all of you are educated by Facebook memes. I've seen it on X. Exactly, Leroy. That's what it always is. I just saw it somewhere and I'm remembering it now. Annette said, "Let's get the dollar train going." Thank you, Annette. Appreciate that. Do we have a source? Anybody want to help her? No? All right. Cool. There we go. We didn't ignore that for you. We brought it up. And if you have a source, somebody in the chat will tell me when you get your source. All right. Here's Lindsey Graham. Nobody's dick is harder than Lindsey Graham's right now. He's been wanting to just murder people and invade countries for a while. This is what he lives for. Now he's like, well, let's not stop at Iran.
Is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do? I am a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, and when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's...
Nobody did. We didn't talk about Maduro. We didn't talk about kidnapping Maduro. Nobody ever talked about that.
Got him in jail. Cuba's
Thanks,
next.
Walter and Becky.
They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. All is President Trump.
Awesome. More murder, please. More regime change wars, please. That's the rallying cry for Republicans now. Please do more regime change. We need so much more. Thank you. Chrissy said, Jen's disappointed. Better get on it. Thank you, Alyssa. Jen, thank you. Stacy said, for the straight facts, no chaser. Appreciate that, Stacy. Pink said, what do Trump's hair and a G-string have in common? They both barely cover an asshole. Cindy said, 420 because I had to start early after listening to you deal with these idiots. God, it was a lot easier when I could just wake and bake. But now that I don't do that so much anymore, it makes it a little more difficult. Okay. Here was an ad that Tulsi Gabbard, our director of national intelligence, put out in 2019.
Donald Trump.
Boy, this is why Trump brought her on. She aligned with Donald Trump. They had the same vision when it came to foreign policy. Here's what she had to say in 2019.
Here are the steps
Who squished Trey Gowdy's head like that? Mean.
that Donald Trump has taken to create a war with Iran. First, he tore up the Iran nuclear agreement.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
Second, he has escalated crippling sanctions against Iran.
The sanctions kicking in at midnight Sunday target Iran's oil exports, banking, and shipping, even though UN inspectors say Iran is still complying with the nuclear deal.
The United States will pursue additional sanctions, tougher than ever before.
Third, he designated Iran's military as a terrorist organization.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has announced that the U.S. is designating the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terror group.
Today, the United States is continuing to build its maximum pressure campaign against the Iranian regime. I am announcing our intent to designate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, including its Quds Force, as a foreign terrorist organization.
With this terror designation, the U.S. can say
That's just when they label places and groups forest terrorist or foreign terrorist organizations. It's just them admitting that they know that their base, if they say somebody is a terrorist, the base will no longer care what you do to them. You can do anything. You can treat them inhumanely. You can murder them. You can blow up schools, hospitals. It doesn't matter. Once you've labeled them a certain way, MAGA doesn't care anymore.
sanction pretty much anybody who talks to or deals with or has any business whatsoever with the IRGC.
And fourth, he continues to deploy more and more U.S. troops to the region.
Just moments ago, the Pentagon authorized an additional 1,000 American troops to the Middle East in response to growing concerns over Iran.
The Trump administration announced yesterday that a U.S. aircraft carrier and a bomber task force are being sent to areas closer to Iran.
Yes, there will indeed be hell to pay. Let my message today be very clear. We are watching, and we will come after you.
We've got to stop Donald Trump from starting a war with Iran. I'm asking you to join me and support my legislation, the No More Presidential Wars Act. To qualify for the third presidential debate.
Music changed there. That's going to get into like her raising money there at the end. But what happened to Tulsi there? What happened? Past present. Yeah, I know. We get it. We get it, guys. You love war. You love murder. How about when J.D. Vance said this was just last year? Here's what J.D. Vance said last year.
I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in. We've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do.
Oh, okay, but that didn't happen now, did it? So, mission failed there? We're just bombing them again now?
Simple principle. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That has animated American policy over the past 130 days. It's going to continue to be a driving force of our policy in the Middle East for the next 3.5 years. I certainly empathize.
Okay. So, did they fail? They told us they obliterated it. Now it's not obliterated. But then it was like, we're just going to we obliterate it, and now we're going to negotiate. The negotiations didn't work. So, if you can't negotiate an agreement, perhaps stop using Jared Kushner as your negotiator. Perhaps your negotiators aren't any good. Perhaps Donald Trump's not a good negotiator. Because we're back to right where we were. Rebecca said, what's the plan if he somehow cancels elections? He knows we still want the Epstein files, right? I don't know. Good question. I mean, he can't really cancel elections. I don't know what he's going to do. I really don't think the states will fall in line with that. But if you love America, you got to love Trumpstein. I like that you're calling him Trumpstein. Appreciate that. Here was Trump when he was campaigning. Boy, what happened? Where'd this guy go? I didn't want to vote for him then. Gonna load. Come on. Uh-oh. Is Twitter crashing? Whoa. Can you guys hear me? Or did everything crash? Jen, we here? You guys can hear me? Okay.
I can hear.
Okay, it might just be Twitter then. Okay, it's back.
Daughters say.
All right, here was Trump in 2024.
I will keep our sons and daughters safe. As we bring security to our streets, we will help bring stability to the world. I was the first president in modern times to start no new wars. You know, we were the toughest. We were the most respected.
That changed. I don't know how this is going to go with the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know how they'll feel about this one. This even got confusing. Now, Khomeini was killed, but this got here's two different screenshots here, and this got confusing. So, in an interview with GOP Representative Mike Turner of Ohio, CBS News Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan asked directly whether the U.S. had carried out the strike on Khomeini. Turner said that he had spoken with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was very clear in the answer that we did not target Khomeini, and we were not targeting the leadership in Iran. But then, in a phone call later that evening, Trump told me this about the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. I got him before he got me. They tried twice. Well, I got him first. So we can't even get this administration to tell us whether or not we were behind those attacks. There seem to be two different stories coming out there. It seems a little discombobulated to me. Meanwhile, our actual allies and the British here's Keir Starmer, who somewhat surprisingly, honestly, is refusing to go along with this.
Exposing our military personnel to action that risks their lives, making sure that it is lawful before we ask them to do that. I think that is the duty of the Prime Ministers, and previous Prime Ministers have taken exactly the same approach. I will, of course, read the Shadow Attorney's advice, but I'm very clear in the advice that I received, and I will not commit our military personnel to unlawful action. That is not what they would expect and deserve. They are entitled to better than that.
There we go. Pat says, if you didn't have Trump, RTP, you wouldn't have a show, and you wouldn't have an erection, so we'd all be fucked, wouldn't we? All right, moving on. So good to see the British once again just being slightly better than us, just acting human. It makes you look better than the United States. Here's Joint Chief of Staff's General Dan Kane. This was this morning. And this doesn't sound like it's going to be quick. A lot of the discussion over the weekend was this isn't a war. It's not going to be a prolonged exchange. This is going to be a quick couple days, and then we'll be out of Iran. It doesn't seem like our military. And again, this is Joint Chief of Staff Chair Dan Kane. It doesn't seem like they think we're going to be out of here quickly.
So let me start with a few details. First, to be clear, as the Secretary said, this is not a single overnight operation. The military objectives that CENTCOM and the Joint Force have been tasked with will take some time to achieve, and in some cases will be difficult and gritty work. We expect to take additional losses, and as always, we will work.
So we're expecting to lose more people. Well, again, let's ask why? Why are we risking lives here?
To minimize U.S. losses, but as the Secretary said, this is major combat operations. So let me talk about the preparation and the planning. On February 28th, the full strength of America's armed forces came together in a unified purpose against a capable and determined adversary. The United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and our reserve components integrated across our combatant commands and began coordinated operations with the Israeli armed forces of an unprecedented scale.
Doesn't sound to me like this is going to be over very quickly. And they seem to recognize that they are going to sacrifice American lives for this. Did I see Trump talking to statues last night? Oh, yeah, I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, where he was like way off camera. The video I saw, I could barely hear the audio, so I just skipped it. He was with Dan Kane during this press conference was with Pete Hegseth, so I'll bounce back and forth between them here. But to me, it feels like they're shaping this narrative so that if it's not like a 3-year war, if it's not a war that takes as long as Iraq or Afghanistan, that they're gonna shape that as a win. But they're not giving any real definitive timelines. They're obviously not working with Congress. They are just unilaterally going to war.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars.
And also, can we get a Secretary of Defense who's not playing petty fucking politics all the fucking time? Can we get somebody who's not a fucking bitch all the motherfucking time to be the Secretary of Defense? Do we have to have partisan dipshits all the time? Can they ever just tell us what's going on and then walk the fuck off? Do we have to divide every fucking time we step on stage, Pete Hegseth? Do we have to do that? Can you leave your Fox News past in the past, please, and just be like a normal Secretary of Defense? No, we can't do that. We always have to turn this into us versus them.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars. Stop.
No.
This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both.
They also weren't endless. The reason people are talking about endless wars is because since 2001, we've basically been in endless war in the Middle East. So this is an extension of endless war. We just heard Trump in his statements cite as part of the reason why they were attacking Iran things from 1979, 1982, the 1990s, the early 2000s, and up until present day. Like, he cited shit from 1979 on. That's what an endless war is. He just told us that this has been a war with Iran since 1979. So you can't now come in and be like, it's not endless. It's endless in the same way that those were. We're still doing it.
Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he's right.
Yeah. Autumn said that, just paying my dues. Thanks, Jay and Jen. Appreciate that. And Walter, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Robin, thanks for the Antifa dues.
This is the opposite. This operation is a clear, devastating, decisive mission. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes.
They don't have nukes. So the mission here is to destroy their military and their missiles. None of their military is not attacking us, and their missiles are incapable of attacking us. So what are we doing?
Israel has clear missions as well, for which
Thanks, Dayless Frizzle.
We are grateful.
Coast and cleaning.
Capable partners. As we've said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners.
All right. Well, that didn't add any clarity, Pete. Let's try again here. Give us some more details on what we can expect. Seems that what they don't want is anybody questioning them at all. It seems to get them very upset.
Last June, Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their nuclear program to rubble.
Obliterated? I don't know about obliterated. If it was obliterated, why are we back there? This is just doubling down on obvious lies. This is the time of the show where we point to you, MAGA, and we go, hey, you're better than this. This is obviously a lie. They obviously lied to you. Check that. Put it in the back of your mind. Oh yeah, this is another time the administration lies. I shouldn't just always believe them. They lied about that. Or they're lying now. But it can't be both.
Afterward, we told them plainly, that's it, now make a deal. They arrogantly refused. We said...
They've been negotiating since then. They did not arrogantly refuse. They've been negotiating. What they're not going to do is whatever the United States wants them to do. And they shouldn't. They don't have to do that. Stephelson, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Just a reminder, everybody, if we all join the Dollar Train, we knock out that gift goal quick, fast, and in a hurry. And if we don't, I'm going to start saying HVAC more often. I'm going to bring him back around.
Rebuild it, and we'll stop you again, this time far worse. Well, President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, they bent over backwards for real diplomacy, offering pathway after pathway to peace. I watched it. I was there. They tried over and over and over again, earnest.
To do what? To do what? I've listened to what they claimed the negotiations were about. It's saying they were progressing. They current like I think it's like the prime minister of Oman said that they had agreed that they would not obtain a nuclear weapon. That was part of their agreement, which is what they keep saying, that they can't have a nuclear weapon. Other people involved in there that are third party are saying, yeah, they agreed to that. That was part of the agreement that was on the table. So what exactly do we think it is that they didn't agree to do? You can't ask them to disband their entire nuclear program. They rely on that for a lot of things. You can certainly make sure that they don't have enriched uranium. We can do that. It seems like they were in agreement with that too. In fact, I'll show you a video later. The agreement, what they had agreed to, was more substantial than what they had agreed to in the Iranian nuclear agreement from the Obama years.
Attempts at peace. The former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was not negotiating. They were stalling.
They were negotiating.
Buying time to reload their missile stockpiles and restart their nuclear ambitions. Their goal, hold us hostage, threatening to strike our forces. Well,
I like that. How are you guys accusing me of lying here? Like, were you there? I'm citing what other people have said. None of those are lies. You can look at. I've got the videos here. Our own government said that they don't have nuclear weapons. Our own government says that they weren't developing nuclear weapons. Our own government says that there was no direct threat. We'll get to that in a minute. Like, you just want so badly to believe this that now you're projecting that on us. You're like, oh, you don't know. We do. Well, according to our government, and then we have to piece it together from other governments. I can't find a single person who thinks that they were capable of attacking the United States. Do you have a source where anybody says they're capable outside of just Trump saying it? Our own government doesn't seem to say that.
President Trump doesn't play those games. And as Secretary Rubio said after the Maduro raid, if you don't know, now you know. President Trump puts America and Americans first.
Can we stop citing rap lyrics, Marco Rubio? You're making rap uncool. I don't like that. Thank you, Jen. Said, weird. I thought we obliterated the gift cult last. Yeah, it comes back faster than Iran's nuclear capabilities.
He doesn't hesitate, and neither do our troops. The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser focused. Destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons. We're hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically.
Okay, so that's what Pete's saying.
With every passing day, our capabilities get stronger and Iran's get weaker.
So Pete's saying it's about, again, nuclear weapons. But the people that were involved, here is the foreign minister, not prime minister, of Oman, who was engaged in the negotiations. Here's what he had to say.
To you, that they have never done before. Can you give us any sense?
The single most important achievement, I believe, is the agreement that Iran will never, ever have a nuclear material that will create a bomb. This is, I think, a big achievement.
He's lying? Everybody's lying except for Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump?
Is something that is not in the old deal that was negotiated during President Obama's time. This is something completely new. It really makes the enrichment argument less relevant because now we are talking about zero stockpiling. And that is very, very important because if you...
So we read through the nuclear agreement on Friday, but there was limits to what they could stockpile. But in this new agreement, it appears that they agreed that they wouldn't even stockpile uranium. Sounds like they were negotiating in good faith, and they were negotiating a more strict deal than what they had before.
Cannot stockpile material that is enriched, then there is no way you can actually create a bomb, whether you enrich or don't enrich. And I think this is really something that has been missed a lot by the media, and I want to clarify that from the standpoint of a mediator.
So explain that. So the enriched material, the things that could be used as nuclear fuel for a bomb, you're saying Iran would not keep on their own soil?
They would give it up.
They would give it up?
They will not be able to actually accumulate that material that will enable them to create a bomb. There's no accumulation. So there will be zero accumulation, zero stockpiling, and full verification. That is also equally important achievement, I think. A full and comprehensive verification by the...
By the way, not loyal to Iran here. Iran bombed Oman after all of this. And then their justification was like, yeah, we had to hit targets that I think they went, so they hit the commercial port of, I don't know how to say it, Duqm, which injured at least one worker and damaged the facilities. They took out an oil tanker called Skylight that was under U.S. sanction. Was there any other ones? I don't know if there's any other ones. Iran tried to say that the strikes were not our choice, suggesting they resulted from military decisions made under broad retaliatory orders. So this isn't somebody who's like super happy with Iran right now, but they're saying that, you know, if we would have kept negotiating, Iran wouldn't have struck Oman. Shaft thanks said Iran does not have ICBMs. I don't think they even have a space program, let alone launch a rocket from Iran into space to precisely hit a target in the United States.
IAEA, which is the agency in charge of this file.
The UN nuclear watchdog.
That's
so
right.
You're saying all enriched material would be shipped someplace else, not Russia, but...
No, the current stockpiles that still exist.
The things that are still in Iran.
I think that there is agreement now that this will be downblended to the lowest level possible.
Okay.
Yeah, or removed. So it sounds like all this shit Pete Hegseth is saying and Trump is saying, like, is untrue, that they were negotiating in good faith. They continued to negotiate. Trump ended the negotiations by striking them. Not, I'm going to end this now and then we will strike. In the middle of the negotiations, he just started bombing them. Even in 1979, PLO, Palestinians and communists overthrew a peaceful and prosperous. Yeah, whatever. And it's been fucking hell. However, ever since terrorism, they've killed thousands of Americans. Where? Where did they kill the thousands of Americans, though? Where was it? Was it here in the United States? Or was it in places that we decided we needed to be? Oh, so there's a stockpile that they've had a stockpile. They've been allowed to have a stockpile. There's no agreement in place. Trump ripped that up. Excuse me, UK. No, what part of the Iranian nuclear agreement did they break? You said what is agreed to? Anything they've agreed to thousands of times. They've broken every deal they've been in. They continue to enrich. They're going to. When the Iranian nuclear agreement was in place, how did they break that? I'm unaware of this. Again, not an expert. Can you explain to me how they broke that agreement? My opinion means nothing. You don't know the dynamic. Okay, but can you answer the question instead of just generically insulting me? Can you tell me how they broke that agreement, please? Because I'm trying to learn. Calling me ignorant this whole time, it's not going to help. Just explain to the class here. We've now stopped, and we're asking you specifically your answer now, and you give Democrats are stupid enough to believe, but the problem is they're still enriching. They never agreed to, never allowed any inspections. That's not true. You're making that up. They absolutely, that's what the Iranian nuclear agreement was. So you're just making shit up now. We're all dumb, but you're making shit up. How did they break it? One more. We'll give you one more chance, UK Gnome. One more. When did they break that agreement? What year? What did they do specifically? They walked away from the talks. No, the agreement was signed. It was in place. How are you all this dumb? It's crazy. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it was an international joke. There was no inspection. Okay, mute that dumb motherfucker for 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to go get a fucking source and say something specific. So we're going to mute you for 5 minutes while you figure it the fuck out. But you have 5 minutes to come back with a singular claim that we can fact check instead of just your big feelings. Okay? Thank you. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Mods, will you take care of that? Thank you very much. Okay. Here is then Pete Hegseth gets real upset here because he's gonna play politics, and we've said this a million times. Nothing makes a MAGA more upset than asking questions.
The American people also want to know what they're sending their men and women to war for. Is there a concern of this spiraling into a longer war? And then one for the chairman when you're done.
Did you not hear my remarks? I mean, we're ensuring the mission gets accomplished, but we are very clear-eyed, as the president has been, unlike other presidents, about the foolish...
He's so emotional. Did you not hear me? I said we're doing it. Oh, okay. We wanted details, but...
policies of the past that recklessly pulled us in to things that were not tethered to actual clear objectives. So we know...
Thanks, Bear.
We have plans, we have generals, we have chairmans, we have commanders, CENTCOM commanders, Admiral Cooper.
The American people also want to know...
Okay, here's the question again, one more time, just see if you answered it.
What they're sending their men and women to war for. Is there a concern of this spiraling into a longer war? And then one for the chairman when you're done.
We want to know why we're going there, and how can we make sure it doesn't spiral into something long term.
Did you not hear my remarks? I mean, we're ensuring the mission gets accomplished.
We're ensuring that it gets accomplished. That's how.
But we are very clear-eyed, as the president has.
And we can see you.
Been unlike other presidents.
And our president is smarter than the other ones. Thanks. Thanks for all the details, Pete. Appreciate that. Why don't you believe me when I say that it's just going to work? MAGA in the chat. Yeah, just believe him, guys. Just believe him. Believe the government. They never get this shit wrong. Other governments did. They were all bad. This government, good. We believe this government. Here's a great question. What percentage of Iranian long-strike capabilities are still in the fight, and what's our exit strategy here? Great question. A good question that you should ask. And here is Hegseth, and I don't think Dan answers this one. I can't remember. I think it's Hegseth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right here. Go ahead.
Thank you for your time. What percentage of Iranian long-strike capabilities are still in the fight, and what is our exit strategy here, and when will it be deployed?
Well, they have long-range strike capabilities, which we are
right. That's why she asked what percentage of them are still in the fight. Which is a good question.
We're focused on the brief we got just this morning. Admiral Cooper knows exactly and precisely what kind of threat matrix he's looking at, the way they might change their techniques, and how we adapt to that. So we're making sure the theater commander has absolutely everything he needs. I mean, one of the things the chairman mentioned is for months and months, even before we built up.
Remember, the question was, what percentage of their long strike capabilities are still in the fight, and what's the exit strategy?
Everything he needs. I mean, one of the things the chairman mentioned is for months and months, even before we built up, we ensured that we had maximum defensive capabilities in theater to allow the president the decision space in the future. So even before this buildup in the last 30 days, we discreetly brought defensive assets in to make sure, understanding that there are Iranian capabilities. As far as time frame, I would never hang a time frame from our perspective. The commander-in-chief sets the op tempo and terms of this fight. As I said, it's on his terms. And we'll make sure that Admiral Cooper and his team have everything they need, not just to defend. I mean, the best defense is good offense. And so we're aggressively pushing into that airspace over that southern flank to ensure that we control it and we destroy anything that moves that would attempt to shoot us. Think of it as shooting the arch.
But you just lost 3 planes, so I don't. But what percentage has been destroyed, and what's your strategy to exit? We're going to get an answer to that, Pete?
Instead of the arrows, that's where we want to be. And we have the kind of exquisite intelligence to get over the top, find that and destroy it. It won't happen overnight. This is a big battle space with a lot of capabilities. That's part of the reason why it's such a threat to us. That's why I talk about conventional umbrella to blackmail nuclear ambitions. They were building.
What the fuck is he saying? Someone explain it. What the fuck is he saying? That's why it's important to build a big umbrella. Oh. Well, that'll help if it was rain. Are you talking about rain now, Chief? What's he talking about here? MAGA, can you help? Can you guys interpret real quick? I'm a weak ass fool. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm weak. I'm a bitch. I get all that stuff. That's fine. Can you explain what this guy's saying? I just want to know what he's saying. That's all. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I got that part. But what's he saying? This guy. You guys all getting quiet now? Oh, yeah. I say too many curse words. Got it. Yeah, but what's he saying? I'm extremely pathetic. Got it. Cool. What's he saying? Talking with confidence, calling other people stupid. Got it. What's he saying? This is embarrassing. Don't ever trust Iran. Got it. Cool. What's he saying? Obama funded them. Cool. What is he saying? Not one of you? I'm too busy talking. That's why I don't know what he's saying. Okay, cool. You tell me. What is he saying? YouTube hasn't served. What's he talking about? Cool. What's he saying? I haven't served. I don't know what he's talking about. What is he saying? If I don't know, get off the internet. Great. Explain it to me, though. What's he saying? None of you? Not one? So do absolutely nothing. Got it. No, I'm asking you what he's saying. Don't do anything. What is he saying? I'm not fooling anyone. Cool, Rob. What's he saying? Soy rage. Cool, Rob. What's he saying? He's saying it's the golden age. No, he's not. Try again. What's he saying? I don't read. I'm reading it. You're not reading sources. I'm reading you guys. What is he saying? Okay, I'll play it again. Great. What's the question? Do you know what the question is? The question was, what percentage of Iranian long-straight capabilities is still in the fight, and what is our exit strategy? Okay, thank you, Luna. I appreciate that.
Capabilities are still in the fight, and what is our exit strategy here, and when will it be deployed?
Well, they have long-range strike capabilities, which we are hyper-focused on. The brief we got just this morning, Admiral Cooper knows exactly and precisely what kind of threat matrix
he's saying. Cadillac Margarita Pronto.
The way they might change their techniques and how we adapt to that. So we're making sure the theater commander has absolutely everything he needs. I mean, one of the things the chairman mentioned is for months and months, even before we built up, we ensured that we had maximum defensive capabilities in theater to allow the president the decision space in the future. So even before this bill.
Okay, so lots of defensive capability in theater. The question was, what percentage of Iranian long-strike capabilities are still in the fight, and what's our exit strategy?
Up in the last 30 days, we discreetly brought defensive assets in to make sure, understanding that there are Iranian capabilities. As far as time frame, I would never hang a time frame from our perspective. The commander-in-chief
didn't ask for a time frame, wanted to know what the strategy was to exit, right? It doesn't have to be a time frame. You could tell us, like, you know, what you hope to accomplish when you'll know it's time to exit. So
Sets the op tempo and terms of this fight. As I said, it's on his terms.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that Admiral Cooper and his team have everything they need, not just to defend. I mean, the best defense is good offense.
Oh, good.
So,
yeah, good. Best defense, good offense. Great. What percentage of their long-range missile capability has been destroyed, and what's your exit strategy? Just once again is the question.
We are aggressively pushing into that airspace over that southern flank to ensure that we control it and we destroy anything that moves that would attempt to shoot us. Think of it as shooting the archer instead of the arrows. That's where we want to.
Oh, we're going to shoot archers. I think that's what she's asking. What percentage of the archers have been destroyed, and what is your exit strategy? Still, Pete, we're a minute and 21 seconds in.
And we have the kind of exquisite intelligence to get over the top,
Okay,
find that and destroy it. It won't happen overnight.
Okay, not
It's
overnight.
A big battle space.
Got it.
With a lot of capabilities. That's
so many.
Part of the reason why it's such a threat to us. That's why I talk about conventional umbrella to blackmail nuclear ambitions.
What is a conventional umbrella to blackmail nuclear ambitions? Where was the person who said if I started it over, they'd explain it? Can you explain that part? We can play it again for you here.
Umbrella to blackmail nuclear ambitions.
What does that mean? What's he talking about with that umbrella there? Don't need an exit strategy if you win. How do you know if you won? That's not what she's asking. It's literally word for word what she asked is, what percentage of Iranian long-strike capabilities are still in the fight, and what is our exit strategy? That's word for word what she asked. You made me rewind this. You were going to explain it to me, and the best you can come up with is that's not what she's asking? Oh, sweetheart. Yeah, there it is. Insult me some more. You just don't understand. Okay, explain it to me.
They were building up this conventional arsenal in order to ensure that no one would ever block them from their ability to get nuclear weapons. So we're very clear-eyed about the nature of this Iranian threat, and we're going to get after it.
Oh, okay. Nobody asked that fucking question. Nobody asked, are you clear-eyed about the Iranian nuclear threat? They wanted to know what percentage of their long-range missiles had been destroyed, or capability had been destroyed, and what your exit plan was. Cool. Rob, you've used the same soy joke like 50 fucking times in a row. Keep using that same soy joke. I'm not going to fuck your dad anymore, and he's going to be grumpy. So you got to update your material, okay? All right. One more time here from Pete losing his cool. What a brave, strong man over there.
I heard the question about 4 weeks. It's the typical NBC sort of gotcha type question. President.
Yeah, the question was somebody had mentioned, I don't remember who said that they thought this would be done in 4 weeks. So NBC said, is the timeline 4 weeks?
Ability that we have over there.
I heard the question about 4 weeks. It's the typical NBC sort of gotcha type question.
Yeah.
It's typical of you guys to repeat things that other people say and then ask us our opinion on it. Gotcha. Typical lefties.
President Trump has all the latitude in the world to talk about how long it may or may not take. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It could move up. It could move back. We're going to execute.
Cool. But that's why they asked, because specifically they said 4 weeks. So this would just follow-up question.
At his command, the objectives we've set out to achieve and what he has shown an ability to do that other presidents can't quite seem to have the aperture to do. Well, I mean, Joe Biden didn't even know what he was doing, is to look for opportunities and off-ramps and escalations for the United States that creates new opportunities.
I'm sorry. Was it Joe Biden or Donald Trump that pulled out of Afghanistan? Where was this off-ramp capability in Afghanistan for Donald Trump? What off-ramps has Trump taken to get us out of conflict?
Opportunities to execute what we need on our own timeline. So you can play games about 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He has all the latitude, and I'm glad he does, because there's no better communicator than our president expressing those
Suck
things.
that dick, bud.
I've been in meetings with the president for the last 2.5 days, we know exactly where his headspace is, and he will communicate as he should exactly what he would like, and he'll follow those orders. And I think everything he said on that is right down the middle.
He's not saying anything. Thank you, Ak. Shaftag said those 3 planes were shot down by Kuwait. Has that been confirmed that it was Kuwait that shot down the 3 planes? It was supposed to be like, I saw friendly fire, then I saw that thought somebody else had taken credit for it. Is that confirmed now that it was Kuwait? Malika said, thanks for all you do. Midwest said, I'm poor, but Jen just made me a happy Monday. She does that. Thank you, Bear. I think I got that one already. And Kelly said, happy Monday, kind of. I'm wearing my cool healthcare hoodie, the optional Antifa uniform, and clothes are my weekly Antifa dues. You're my favorite part of the day. Thank you. Good reminder. We do have our healthcare hoodies available on the merch shop. You can check the link in the bio there. I'll update the goal, but thank you guys so much. We got probably about 30 more minutes before we'll wrap things up. I'll update the gift goal and see if we can knock that out by the end. Okay. I just wanted to show this because I can understand where this type of rage comes from, and I think a lot of people are feeling this way. This is forgot her name. It'll show. She's wife of an active duty member of the military on TikTok.
Lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
If you voted for this, I want you to know that I hate you. I mean that. I hate you. And that's not just me speaking out of fear or sadness as the spouse of an active duty service member, although I am profoundly sad and incredibly terrified right now.
It doesn't have to be a hoodie, by the way. The healthcare one, it can also be t-shirts.
But I still mean it when I say that if you voted for this, I hate you. And if you know me in real life and you're watching this and you're shocked because you're thinking to yourself, well, I voted for this and I know Kendall and I know that she couldn't possibly hate me. She knows me. I want you to know it goes for you too. In fact, not only does it go for you too, I hate you twice as much as the strangers that voted for this. And you are delusional if you think that you get to look me in my eyes and tell me that you care about me while actively cheering on the man who made it very clear from the very beginning that he would happily send my husband, my soulmate, to die in a foreign country. This is monstrous. It's monstrous. They struck a school building. More than 50 little girls are dead this morning because of the man you installed in the most powerful office in the world. That's on you. And I don't know how you're going to live with yourself with that knowledge. Probably an unhealthy dose of delusion and lack of empathy for anyone else on this planet. But I can say that I don't have to live with you. I don't have to have you in my life. I don't have to have monsters in my life. And at this point, if you're still supporting this administration, you're a monster. You are a monster. You are irredeemable trash. And frankly, I do not care. The one thing I will say, I apologize to my mother for any shocked and upset phone calls she gets from people in my hometown about this video, but I'm not sorry for making it because I want you to know. I want you to know how deep my hatred for you runs right now if you voted for this. You.
Lives of courageous.
It is a very fair response when putting her husband in danger, and nobody can explain to us why. Nobody can explain why we need to risk lives for this. Tanya, thank you very much. Lisa, chipping in towards today's goal. I appreciate you guys. I have family who serves. I have family over there. I'm not happy about it. Should be a last resort. We're in the middle of deliberations. We're in the middle of negotiating. And Trump says, fuck it. The guy who dodged the draft, the guy who faked an injury and dodged the draft, whose kids have never had to serve, never had to make that decision of like, oh shit, I have no future ahead of me. Maybe I'll join the military. They didn't have to make that decision. And frankly, like I'm blessed. I never had to make that decision. I never got put in a position where I had to choose, like, man, maybe my only option is the United States military. I never had to worry about, like, if the leaders of this country would sacrifice me. But for those who did serve, fuck, there's no recognition from any of you that our country historically just doesn't value your lives, that they'll go and throw you in harm's way, fight wars over oil, colonialism, and power. In politics, you never felt disrespected by your country's willingness to just discard you. Then you come back, they're not going to fund the VA for you. You're not going to have proper access to mental health care. You come back with PTSD, and they're just constantly trying to chip away at your protections there, chip away at the resources that you're supposed to have. It'd be one thing. Be a little bit more understandable if we took care of our veterans, but we don't even take care of our veterans. We just sacrifice them. Don't worry, it's just poor people. Don't worry, it's not our kids. Our kids are fine. Somebody else's kids. Don't worry, it was just a guy that we filled full of patriotism, and he thought he was actually going over there to fight a war against our enemies, and it turns out that he's fighting a war for oil. Don't worry about that. It's not our kids. When's the last war that those of you who served, where did you serve when it was justified for you to be there? You feel good about what the government told us about Afghanistan? You feel good about the narrative that we were fed about Iraq? Those of you that are a little bit older, you feel good about Vietnam? How about Desert Storm? When's the last time the government risked military lives that was justified? Go ahead. So those that served, I'd love to hear it. I don't know why we're in Iran, Patrick. I don't know, but maybe we are. Shouldn't be surprising that, like, Venezuela and Iran are number 1 and number 3 in oil production, and those are the two countries that we've struck. While we're in an AI battle with China, and we want to make sure that China doesn't get as much energy as we have. So where was China buying oil from? Oh, Venezuela and Iran. Might not be about oil, but it could be about energy, right? 2002 Afghanistan, yeah. Did we find Osama bin Laden there? Was it Afghanistan who caused 9/11? Listen, I appreciate you guys' service. I'm just I don't know why you're getting mad at me. I'm asking you how you feel about what the government told you about your service. They told you were going to Afghanistan and Iraq. For what reason? Did they tell the truth about that? I'm just asking your opinions. I don't know why you're getting mad at me for. I want to know what you think about serving there. What do you think about the government lying to you? We have to protect our country. Oh, okay. Good. Great. Was Iraq a threat to our country? Was Afghanistan a threat to our country? Which of those countries was attacking us? I don't remember those being Afghans that attacked us on 9/11. Did I miss that? Sorry, did they discover the weapons of mass destruction? Am I unaware of that? I appreciate your willingness to lay it on the line. I do. I didn't. I believed the lies too. I was one of those people supporting us going into Iraq and Afghanistan. I was young, but I agreed it. I'm just wondering how you feel now. I remember Donald Trump not very long. I remember Donald Trump running against Jeb Bush. I remember him criticizing both of those wars. I remember him trying to pretend that he didn't do what I did and support those wars at the time. I remember him saying, like, oh, it was in my book. I said it was a big mistake. Yeah, that was a lie. That's how that was the attack on Jeb Bush, is that your brother led us into these wars with bad intel. He lied to the American people, and he has the blood of American soldiers all over his hands. True. He was right about it. Trump was right about that. You guys voted for him. He said what I'm saying, and you voted for him. So is it just because I'm saying it now that it's a problem? If I never served, I don't know. I'm not. That's why I'm asking you. Jesus fucking Christ. I said I didn't serve. I want to know what you think about the government lying to you and how you feel about the government lying to you and causing you to put your life on the line in Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't know if you guys are good at listening. I'm asking you your opinion. You're just like Pete Hegseth. Somebody asks you a question and you scream at them. Get it the fuck together, folks. You weren't this like bitch ass when you were serving, right? You weren't this big of pussies when you were serving, right? You could answer questions without freaking the fuck out, certainly, right? Just want to know what your feelings were about being lied to. Can't talk about your feelings today? Never found WMDs, but I found insurgents. Yeah, why were those insurgents there? It's because we invaded their country? I can talk about the government lying to you guys. I can talk about that all day. What I can't say is how it must have felt to be a soldier who put their life on the line for the government to lie. I absolutely can talk about the government lying, but I'm not trying to take your experience and tell you how I would feel, because I don't know. I didn't serve. So I'm asking you. I think there should be many politicians facing war crimes. Yeah, I agree with you. Appreciate you saying that. Just wondering if you're comfortable, like those of you who are retired, not serving, how do you feel about this administration not being able to answer questions right now? American lives are on the line, and it's just the same old shit that we've seen our entire life. The government refusing to give us answers. Willing to risk your lives. Those of you who are still serving, willing to risk the lives of those who are serving now, and they won't give us answers. The track record sucks on this, especially in the Middle East. Especially in the Middle East. You're proud. I'm glad you're proud. Hopefully, Tom, you're saying you're proud of your service, and I hope that is the case. I'm just wondering how you feel about the government lying to you. Sam said, I've gifted a few times and never mentioned it, but my wife and I are both active duty. Went to Afghanistan together. Super eye-opening. We're different units now, and I'll be honest, this shit is worrying. Lisa said, in response to what Hegseth was saying, if he's such a great communicator, why do they have to constantly interpret what the hell he's saying? None of them are good communicators. They just hear the part where they attack the media, and they're like, yeah, we hate the same people. Joe Dirt said, when I was in service, I was brainwashed. Matthew said, I served 15 months in Iraq, and it was depressing seeing the damage we did, and it went on for another 8 years after I left. Appreciate you guys that have served and are answering that question. For Antifa deals from Soros, Stimmy, thank you, Will. Glad you're getting those Soros checks. Rhonda, thank you very much as well. Let me check with Jen real quick. Jamar said, this administration doesn't care about Americans dying, ICE, bombing countries, Second Amendment over school shootings, Epstein files. Feels like nothing. Peter said, will the Trump kids serve? Nah, dude, they're going to Gaza to inherit their kingdom. Not going to serve. And then they'll just pay a private army to keep them safe for the rest of their lives. Yeah. Got about 20 minutes. How many more do I have? Yeah, I can get to that. All right. This is one of the foreign ministers from Iran. It is kind of alarming. And I want to say this, like, in the middle of a war, it would be incredibly silly of me to take what the Iranians are saying at face value and not push back. So I'm going to play this clip with the understanding that because we don't have intelligence from the Iranians, and we don't have intelligence from the Americans that anybody's willing to share with, I'm forced to not believe any of them and see how this plays out. But one of the weird, crazy things about like 2026 versus 2001 is our ability to very quickly get people on the other side of a war that we're involved in willing to come on TV in America and answer questions. I forget his name. It'll show it here in a minute, but he is the Iranian foreign minister, and NBC asking perhaps one of the worst questions I've ever heard any journalist ask.
So for clarity, you said that your missiles cannot reach the United States by design, that you do not want to reach the United States, but you also said it would be necessary.
Now, that seems to be confirmed by our intelligence and their intelligence. So that part, I think is correct.
Necessary as a defensive vehicle that you could if necessary. So to be clear, are you committing that Iran is not and will not build missiles that would have the capability to reach the United States?
I can confirm, yes.
Sir, if that's a red line for you, why is attacking U.S. military bases abroad justified?
But because they...
Yeah, why? If you haven't heard this, that's the question. Why? How can you justify attacking U.S. military bases? Again, it's war. I'm not saying that the Iranians are good people. I'm not saying I trust them. But like, we know the answer to that. Here's the answer.
Broad justified.
But because they are attacking us. They are U.S. military.
Why don't you just lay down and take it? That's such an American question.
You know, installations, facilities, bases who are attacking us. We are under attack. Why don't you recognize this fact? We are under the attack by U.S. forces in the region. So we have every right to defend ourselves. And how to defend ourselves? We attacked, the U.S. bases. This is obvious. This is a very simple fact, and I hope that, and I'm sure that people would understand that. We are not the one who attacked Americans. We are only defending ourselves.
Maggie, you guys are broken. I just said that they wouldn't give me their intel, Missy. What are you talking? Like, you're saying the same thing I did while calling me an idiot. You're repeating what I said and calling me an idiot. I just said I don't trust that. Like, they're not giving us their intel, so I'm forced to not trust them without proof. Both sides. I don't know if I could have straddled that position any better and give like a clear explanation for what I was about to show there. Sam said, gift goal, love y'all. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. All right. Here's Senator Tim Kaine and reporting what he has got from classified briefings. And this is the message that's going around. And until I hear anybody from Intel here in the United States or any member of Congress explain what this threat to the United States was, I'm forced to believe that there was no threat.
President Trump has advocated all kinds of reasons for this unnecessary war with Iran. It's because of their nuclear program. Wait a minute, 6 months ago, he said he'd obliterated the program. Years ago, he tore up a diplomatic deal that was controlling Iran's nuclear program. He suggested last night the war was justified because Iran interfered in the 2020 election that he refuses to concede that he lost. It's to protect protesters. Wait a minute, President Trump is sending Iranian refugees back into Iran to face persecution. If he cared about Iranian citizens being oppressed by their government, he wouldn't be doing that at the same time. This was a war without, I can say this, I'm on 2 committees that give me access to a lot of classified information. There was no imminent threat from Iran to the United States that warrants sending our sons and daughters into yet another war in the Middle East, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
I mean, give me some counter information. Y'all seem to forget they constantly attack ships in the Red Sea. No, they don't. Iran? Are you talking about the Houthis? If you're talking about like people that Iran sponsors, well, then we also have to talk about the people that we sponsor. But like Iran is not attacking our ships in the Red Seas. That was the Houthis. And the Houthis said, we will attack your ships if you don't let aid into Palestine, into Gaza. Because aid wasn't being allowed into Gaza, and so they just started attacking ships. Again, all of these actions are a response. Like, would our bases be attacked right now if we didn't attack first? No. No. They weren't being attacked. Nobody can show us that there was an imminent threat. If it was a preemptive attack, certainly they would have some sort of intel that says there was a threat. But we don't have that. If we do, they're hiding it from us. All right. Here is Representative Luna. Now, she's going to take a different approach, but again, like, there's not any real answer here. And forgive me, but I don't have a lot of faith in a very junior congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, who consistently gets things wrong. If she's going to say there's an imminent threat, I would like to know what it is. Now, this whole clip is fucking chaos because Anna Paulina Luna wants to do what every Republican wants to do and just smear anybody who asks them a question. So it's a shitty clip, but the reason I'm showing it is like we still, even when we ask them like, what was this threat? They never have an answer other than "fuck you, you're the left."
The act of war would be if Americans were being killed. You said, what if a bomb went off in the...
This dingleberry on YouTube doesn't get read into intel briefs. Shocking. Yeah, but Tim Kaine does. That's why I showed Tim Kaine, who said, there's two committees that I sit on who gets these intel briefings, and in these intel briefings, there's nothing. So you and I don't read the intel briefings, but now we're sharing the people who do. That's how news works, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't really have news.
United States, right? For over 40 years, the Iranian government and regime has been responsible for the deaths of thousands upon thousands of Americans, not to mention state-sponsored...
True, right? True. That part's true. Wasn't me said, is this hell? Feels like hell. I'm pretty sure this is hell. It might be hell.
Terrorism. And so did the president do the right thing? Has he been consistent in this? Absolutely.
Can you just tell me really quickly, where have they killed thousands of Americans in America?
I didn't say they killed thousands of Americans in America. I said that they have been responsible for thousands.
Right. That's why he asked a different question.
Of Americans being killed. And
my weekends are a struggle without my RTP family. Buckle up, Buttercups. This ride's going to get bumpy. Love y'all. Well, Nin, make sure you join the Discord. It's free, and everybody's in there all weekend. You can hang out.
I think that that's easily something that you can verify. I don't know, state-sponsored terrorism for starters. Are you serious right now about that whole thing? I'm not going to list out exact
no, I mean, just give me are you talking about...
This feels like me talking to the chat. Could you tell me where? Show you fucking idiot. Dude, are you serious? Are you serious? Yeah, I just want to know where. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. This feels like every time I ask Chad a question.
Are you talking about terrorism? Are you talking about the Iraq war where the U.S. invaded Iraq?
You can start out by the three that they just killed. Okay, the whole point of your network, if you want to actually talk about the facts here, I'm giving you the facts. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that's commonly...
It seems like all the people that were killed by Iranians came after the United States invaded and started a war. I think that's a good point. I think that's a very good point. Perhaps the people wouldn't be dying at the hands of Iranians had we not invaded countries in the Middle East.
Understanding of the facts, Congresswoman. You don't have a good understanding of the conflict.
Well, I'm the one that's getting the briefings, not you. You're a pundit offering your opinion because you want clickbait, but aren't actually interested in the substance.
No, not at all.
We can talk about the fact that Obama sent millions upon millions of dollars to the Iranian
regime. There we go.
Or do you not want to address...
There we go. Just like the chat. Let's talk about Obama. Anything but an answer to the question of where are you talking about?
That because it's not supported by your opinion and your network.
No, not at all.
Is this really even something that we're going to actually get to substance here, or are you going to continue to attack us?
No, it seems like you just want to filibuster. It seems like you don't really want to have a good faith conversation.
Or you just don't like what I'm saying.
No, we would have invited you on the air.
This happens every time I'm on with you.
Yeah, you keep coming on every
It might be you.
time, and you keep stating a lot of things that are incorrect.
Because
the United States launched an attack on Iran.
About it, except for you.
The United States launched a war against Iran right now. Iran retaliated, in which American members. Strikes. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, the Iranians responded and killed 3 American service members. So what we're trying to get at is you make an assertion on this air that it's not an invasion when America sends fighter jets and Israel sends fighter jets into another country.
Boots on the ground are not going to happen. Congress will not vote on war with Iran because that is not something that we support, and that is not something that the...
Well, they're not ruling out boots on the ground. I don't know how she can say that. Hegseth's been asked that question. Trump's been asked that question, and neither of them have ruled out boots on the ground.
That's actually what the Constitution says that in Article 1, but I guess you think Article 2 is more important, so it's up to you.
Article 2 is when when the U.S. citizens and our military are in direct imminent threat, the president reserves the authority.
Yeah, well, he hasn't made that.
But what's the imminent threat? What is the imminent threat? She's citing Article 2. Now we're finally getting... What is the imminent threat that Donald Trump was responding to? Mute UK Gnome again. You still haven't answered my question. You get muted for another 5 minutes. What's the imminent threat here? Where was the attacks by the Iranians before we attacked them?
Case for the American public or Congress, and that's the problem.
Nuclear. Well, they don't have nuclear weapons. So where's the threat?
That's why he's supposed to go to Congress.
Give you classified
They don't have nuclear missiles, Richard. So try again.
intelligence
He's not
information,
supposed to give
but
it to
will be
me. He's supposed to
declassified,
give
and
it to
you'll get that as
members
soon
of
as possible.
Congress. He's supposed to go give it to members of Congress.
What
That's
makes you
exactly
think
why
that I
members
haven't
of
gotten it?
You're only one. There are 435 members and 100 senators, and others have not gotten it. You're not the only one who gets.
Okay, they took out their own citizens. Where's the imminent threat to us? Because she's citing Article 2. This is the part you're missing. She's citing Article 2, which says that the president has the authority to do this if there is an imminent threat against our own people. So citing what the Iranians have done to their own people does not give the president this authority. That's why these are very specific questions. What was the imminent threat against us? We've said nuclear weapons, which they don't have. And we've said attacking their own people, which is not an imminent threat to us. So what is it? Not defending Iran. You can literally say that Iran, you can say that Iran is the most evil country on earth and still say that that doesn't give the United States president the authority under Article 2 to do what he did. This is why we need better education in red states. The threat is the Iranian government was killing the innocent civilians. That's not an imminent threat to us. So then he can't use his Article 2 powers. What were the threats? B.B. Hansen, author. We're going to do this. We've done this all day, and it'll just be attacks on me. Defending democracy. That's not an imminent threat on you. How about all the terror attacks in and around the Middle East that they directly fund? That's not an imminent threat.
Was a congressional notification prior to the strike.
Anyway, unfortunately, we're out of time.
There was actually a briefing with
you coming
there
on.
you go. You don't want to hear the facts. They got a briefing.
It's
they
not a fact. I'm telling you what other members of Congress have said, and that's the whole point of them being able to have a debate in Congress.
Congress was notified.
That's not what members of Congress say, but really appreciate you coming on here and saying something different. Congress.
All right, there we go. If it's not a threat to us, then who is it a threat to? The people that they're attacking. If somebody attacks you, let's say you live in Ohio, if somebody attacks you, that is not a threat to me. Why? It's happening over there. In order for that attack to be an attack on me, they would have to have some ability to attack me. Iran has no ability to attack us. There is no imminent threat against us. Rebecca Robin said, since when do Republicans care about Muslims? Trump said so, therefore they care about Iranian citizens. They don't care about that. It's about defending Donald Trump. That's what this is about. That's why it comes out so convoluted. That's why they're struggling to answer these questions. And that's why just the personal attacks is because they don't know. And they don't know because Trump hasn't told them yet. And that's how they get their information. Trump tells them and then they repeat it. Here's specifically from Zach Cowan with their sources. And again, multiple people confirmed. Anna Paulina Luna still hasn't pointed to any imminent threat. Nobody has pointed to an imminent threat. Anna Paulina Luna is pointing to actions in the Middle East, which would not qualify as an imminent threat under Article 2. Here's senior. I don't know exactly what his title is. Did I write it down here? I don't remember what his title is over at CNN, but here you go.
Yeah, Caitlin, just like most of the administration's explanations for why now, why was this operation against Iran launched now, this briefing happened in private. But
John, I will answer your question for the 20th fucking motherfucking time. What about all the terrorist groups that they support that have killed Americans already and will do in coming years? An imminent threat has to be on the American people here. If we go to another country, if we station ourselves in another country, if we invade another country, that is not an imminent threat on America. That is an imminent threat on our people that we station there. That doesn't. You don't get Article 2 powers for that. That's the 20th time I've explained that. For the last time, just go read it.
But we're told that Pentagon briefers did make a stark acknowledgement, and that was that no, there was no indication that Iran was preparing to preemptively strike U.S. bases in the region in anticipation of some sort of an attack from American and Israeli.
And once again, the justification that the Trump administration is using is not those attacks. The administration is saying there was an imminent threat to us, that Iran was going to attack our bases, but they don't have any evidence of that. Nobody has seen any intel that says that that was going to happen. They're just saying it.
Forces, and that's something that senior administration officials had said on Saturday that they believed was true, and that was something that contributed to the timing of this operation. So raising more questions still, as the president we haven't heard from him about his reasoning, his justification, and his plan going forward as this military operation continues.
All right.
Yeah.
You're asking probably the wrong question, whoever asked that. Like, when's the last time there was congressional approval for war, Iraq and Afghanistan? I think what you're trying to ask me is, when was the last time Congress declared war? That's been a long time. I think that was, it might have been World War II, right? I think that was the last time Congress declared war. But they approved the actions. They approved funding. They didn't declare war. So ask that question a little better next time. But an active declaration of war hasn't happened since World War II. But Congress certainly has approved and funded the war in the Middle East since 2001. So that's the answer to your question. I think it was World War. I don't think anything outside of World War II had a Congress declaring war. And again, like, if your argument to defend Donald Trump is other people did shitty things, so he gets to do shitty things, that's fine. That's a good argument for should he be held to a different standard, but it's not a good argument for you supporting it. Right? Like, I'm comfortable with saying, like, he shouldn't be held to a different standard that if other presidents violated this in the same way. I'm asking you about you. Do you think the president should just be able to unilaterally do this stuff? I'm opposed to it always. Seems like some of you aren't really opposed to it. You just want to play like whataboutism. All right. Let's see. I want you guys to go read this. I don't know how much. Did I highlight this whole thing? Yeah, I did highlight it. But here's. Now, I don't know if. I do think this is the right picture. Okay. Mohammed Sharia Madar stood outside the wreckage of the Shahara Tayyiba Girls Elementary School in Manab in southern Iran on Saturday morning, unable to process what he was seeing. His 6-year-old daughter, Sarah, a second-grade student, was among dozens of girls killed when the school was bombed in the first few hours of war launched by the U.S. and Israel on Iran. We took out a school, a girls' school. In the immediate aftermath of the strike, he remained standing in the shade of a cracked wall, staring at the ground and ignoring the commotion around him. He didn't approach the building, which had been sealed off, but he didn't move away either. His hands knotted together, then separated, then knotted again in a repeated motion. Every time a paramedic emerged or an ambulance moved, he quickly raised his head, then returned to staring at the ground. He asked no one a direct question. He was only waiting for his daughter's name to be called. When families were finally directed to a gathering point to receive the bodies of their children, he slowly moved forward. When asked if he needed help, he shook his head silently and waited for his daughter's body to be brought out. I cannot understand how a place where innocent children learn can be bombed like this. We're talking about small children who knew nothing of politics or wars, and yet they are the ones paying the highest price. Some 170 students were inside the building attending morning classes when the missile struck. At least 108 were killed, according to the public prosecutor's office in Manab, many of them schoolgirls between 7 and 12 years old. Manab sits far from Tehran, but the school is adjacent to a naval base belonging to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hormozgan province, which is where the small city of Manab is located, borders the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most strategically sensitive waterways. The school building was reduced to a massive pile of rubble, and dozens of schoolgirls were trapped under the concrete. People began trying to frantically dig them out with their bare hands. Families wandered around in shock, searching for their children amid the wreckage. The final number of dead reached around half the students in the school, the resident said. It's more than that. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi posted an image of the destroyed school on social media. It was bombed in broad daylight when packed with young pupils. Dozens of innocent children have been murdered at this site alone. These crimes against the Iranian people will not go unanswered. We do not understand the reasons for the U.S. attack on Iran, he continued in a subsequent post. I'm still waiting for those answers myself. Perhaps the U.S. administration was dragged into it. Here's what I do know. Iran will punish those who kill our children. Radicalists will emerge from that incident. This is why regime change wars don't work. The people that are blindly defending Donald Trump now will talk about like the casualties of war. They'll talk about the unintended consequences of war. They'll brush this off as, hey, shouldn't have been doing that, Iran. But this is what radicalizes people, because on the ground in Iran, none of these people give a fuck about the nuances. None of them are going to go, that's just part of war. This is what radicalizes people. This is why we don't believe in regime change wars. This is why we ask for diplomacy. Had the Iranian nuclear agreement still been in place, we wouldn't have questions about what Iran was doing and whether or not they were creating a nuclear weapon. But Donald Trump couldn't have Obama have a big win. He couldn't sit with that. There was a historic agreement that Obama signed. And you're going to see MAGA now in the chat be like, no, Obama sucks. And that's how fucked we are as a country. That what Donald Trump is trying to do is piece back together the deal that he undid. And in doing so, he's murdering children. If he would have left it in place, these children would be alive. But he didn't. He tore it up, and now he's literally trying to recreate it. And it looks like Iran was willing to do even more than what was in the original agreement, and Trump said, fuck it, we're going to bomb you. I thought it was interesting in there that even the Iranians are like, we think you got dragged into this by Israel. Everybody thinks that. That's a good point, Penny. Charlie Kirk, one of the last few streams he did before he died, like, he was open about this. We should not strike Iran. It would be a massive mistake to strike Iran. We need diplomacy. We need negotiation. Yeah, Trump's bombed more countries than any other president. He has already done more strikes in this presidency than Biden did the entire 4 years. The U.S. didn't hit the school. Why are you shilling? That's not what they said. In fact, I can show you here. Let's see. Did I not have it here? Is this the right one? This is not the right one. Israel said it wasn't them, and the U.S. said they were still looking into it. So, yeah, can we confirm it was the U.S.? No. Although Israel says it wasn't them. So I guess it must mean it's the U.S. because we just believe what Israel says, right? Where did this go? This one blew my mind. This is Herzog. Is it Isaiah Herzog? Is that his name? Yeah, Israeli President Isaac Herzog, when asked about the school.
President Herzog, at least 148 people were apparently killed in a strike on a girls' school in Iran. That's according to local officials. CNN has not independently verified those numbers. Do you know what happened there?
No, we don't know, and we are trying to verify it, and we don't have any facts to that effect. And we don't shy away from checking anything, but we also have to understand that part of the strategy of this jihadist movement is to base its infrastructure of terror, let's say missiles, long-range missiles, in civilian surroundings. So I don't know, and believe me, I care for every citizen who lost his or her life. But what we have to do right now is offer
like anybody still believe in that bullshit. This is what they did. This is what they did in Gaza too. Like, we had to bomb that school. We had to bomb those hospitals because they use them as human shields. They do this on purpose. They put their schools and their hospitals near our military targets. They do it on purpose. So we have no choice. We just have to blow them up.
Better future for millions and millions of Iranians and hundreds of millions of people all over the Middle East. Because so long as Iran pursues its plan, which is against America, against Israel, against anything that does not accommodate their fanatic ideological belief, which means...
Why am I so negative about the U.S. Or Israel bombing a children's school? I don't know. I just kind of feel like we shouldn't murder children. Sorry for being so negative. I hope that didn't affect your day. It affected my day when I found out that as a father of a daughter, it fucked me up to think of how I would feel if my daughter just went off to school and then I showed up to school and the school had been leveled by a missile attack and my daughter was dead. Sorry, I apologize for being negative about that.
Moderate Muslims, Jews, and Christians, they will never rest. And that is why we have to change this course, and that's why we have to change the equation and move forward by, undermining their capabilities of creating havoc throughout the region.
All right. That was Herzog. Here is an Iranian official here now, saying, I think what a lot of us have like this. Tell me he's wrong.
Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. We are going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself. Iranian.
That's hard to argue. That sucks. So we're fighting the Epstein class. They either abuse little girls or they kill little girls. Clearly, Israel's pretty entangled with the Epstein mess. Clearly, this administration is covering up the Epstein files, and we've all seen it. I don't even want to play the clip, but like Donald Trump kept predicting when he wasn't president, he was always predicting that every time a president got in trouble and couldn't negotiate, that he would attack Iran. And here we are. The story that just won't go away. The Epstein files won't go away. And now we've attacked Iran, and nobody can explain to us just exactly why. Nobody can explain the threat against us as American citizens. Brian says, I know dealing with cult members is extremely frustrating, but you're doing an important job, and a lot of us appreciate you for the education. Thank you. I felt like it was more me being educated today. Again, this isn't my area of expertise, but what I can do is point out that we have questions that aren't being answered. That's the best I can do, is ask the questions that hopefully other people are asking too. And if we get answers, we get answers. We can change our mind on all this stuff. But so far, not a lot of answers. So until we get answers, we're going to keep asking questions. I got to get running today. What is this? Who is? Oh, UK Gnome is mad. Gen Z. Oh, thinks I'm Gen Z. Thank you. Thank you for thinking I'm Gen Z. I appreciate that. We'll leave it at that. Everybody, I'm Gen Z. Okay, just remember that I'm Gen Z. What if I? Boy, I'd be a pretty beat up Gen Zer if I looked like this. Sorry to all the Gen Zs that have to be looped in with me.
They're not going to be able to comment anymore. So.
Oh, sad day. Okay. Draco said, "Choo choo, going late today. Nice. That's it. Did I miss any, Jen? I'm looking on mine. I don't think I missed any on mine.
I know. Make sure everything. Yeah, that's it for mine. So.
Okay. All right. We will be back tomorrow morning. We'll finish up. We'll have obviously more news on this, and hopefully we'll get into some more of the Epstein stuff. It's going to be a rough week. Be prepared to be sad. But for those of you who showed up today, I know these aren't always like the most fun days. I appreciate you supporting us and helping us hit our gift goals every day. That was very much appreciated. You guys are wonderful. Mods, great job today dealing with this chat. It's going to be a fucking nightmare for you guys as well. Until I see you tomorrow, though, go outside, touch grass if you can't touch grass, smoke grass if you can't smoke grass, pray, I don't know, meditate, do something, find something to make your day better. In the meantime, drink water, say nice things about yourself. And one more from Amy Lynn said, blood clot. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.